And our guest tonight will be Carl.
Nice. Please have that on standby.
Carl
Please, thank you.
Parker, the editor of ADV Moto Magazine.
Oh, wow.
Is that the one that you gave me a subscription to?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
got that nice heavy cover?
Yes.
Scholars and laureates on our show. Incredible.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Get his magazine.
What about the other magazines you have a subscription to, Jim? The one with the heavy covers?
Elderly Anal Mamas?
So,
Yes.
Matt, now you can witness what happens
Reverse
before we record.
bukkake.
This is the shit show that happens. And then I have to
instead of
figure
going
out
that
how
way,
to
it's
get
going
in there
this
and
way?
start the show.
That was Knox,
Not easy.
out of his pop-up
Not
book
easy.
collection.
So make sure if you turn to talk to somebody, you don't turn to talk like this, that you turn and go around the mic like this.
Yeah, like this.
Yes, exactly.
Like you're
So if
trying
you want to
doggy
give
punch.
Knock the eye,
No.
you go like
Hell
that.
no, dude. That's some dumb bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Shit come out right now. Like that.
Like,
I'm afraid
like
of him.
Meriwether.
Hey there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits. Coming to you live from the Rees Cycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz,
California. Jim,
What?
where's that
Was
horn,
it-
man?
Are you talking to me?
You were commissioned to do
That was
the
your
horn.
chance, right?
Liza hates that shit.
where everyone is welcome to come for a fun day at the beach, except for yesterday.
Shit show.
Oh,
It was
man.
like a literal shit show. Actually.
Literal shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Literal. Knock, you want to give your telling of what happened?
So apparently, a septic truck jumped one of the roads parallel to Highway 17.
You didn't know this, Jim?
No.
What?
And it's,
Yeah, Black Road that comes down right at the reservoir, right
Yes.
before
Yeah.
Bear Creek. Black Road lost his brakes.
lots of brakes. So
Oh,
it
no.
goes over 2 lanes and it's shut down both ways.
Broke through the concrete barrier.
Dang. Did anybody get hurt? Seriously
Yes.
hurt?
One
Yeah.
fatality and just injuries, but yeah, they shut the
That's a
lanes down
big
2
truck.
ways.
So yeah,
Wow.
so there was concrete everywhere, cars everywhere, dead people,
Jeez.
and shit.
Dead person.
Wow.
Shit everywhere.
Oh,
so
man.
they literally shut down the highway and said, "Do not come to Santa
Yep.
Cruz."
CHP was doing stay home. Don't come to Santa Cruz.
That's why it took me an hour to get from Boulder Creek to Santa Cruz, because it was back-to-back traffic. People
Yeah.
coming the back way.
There was also
Yeah.
an accident which involved a light flight by Brookdale Inn. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Hey everyone, this is Liza, and joining me in the studio tonight.
In the studio?
Next with the schedule.
Yes, that's me.
in the-
Yes, yes, darling.
Yes. We got sitting so far away from me, I cannot fondle him, which is really, it's hard. It's hard for me.
I'm missing it too.
It's Knock.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hi.
What's up?
And next to him, it's Matt
Howdy. Right.
joining us for
right
the
in the
first
dirt.
time. Yeah, we'll get to that. And holding her own on the
Holding my own.
classic girl.
No, will you
Holding-
just, I'm going to stop you there, Liza. Holding
Yes.
my own what?
Holding her own schedule.
Schedule.
Yeah, schedule.
That's made out of aluminium,
It's
darling.
made of-
Let the peak
It's
come
Miss
out.
Emma.
Hello, darlings. Hello.
Well,
I'm just thrilled to be here.
And sitting in his usual spot in the comfy chair that everybody wants. And I say, no, you can't have it because that belongs to Naked Jim.
Hey, it's the ventilation chair. I like it.
Yeah.
What's up?
Pheromones chair.
Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well, enjoying summer.
And then the caboose on the train tonight, it's Stumpy John.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be your caboose today.
Hey, everyone. And then also joining us from his luscious garage in, is it Veneta, Oregon?
Benita.
Benita, it's Bagel.
Grüße aus Oregon.
Yeah.
Achtung und Vorsicht bei der Abfahrt.
Deutsche, ja.
Gluten, lieben, gleiben.
Genau.
Sprachen Sie Deutsche?
Eso que no entiendo aluminio, pues.
Aluminium,
Oh,
darling.
como
I don't understand.
aluminio.
Okay.
Well, we got some cool things to talk about, and we have a cool guest coming on in a little bit. But before that, I wanted to get some ride reports because I haven't ridden for a while, so I'm going to live vicariously through some of y'all. John and Jim, you guys had a fun ride yesterday, I hear.
Yeah. I'll let John fill you in, but yeah, we went out to Hollister Hills. It was cool.
Was it too dry?
I thought it was pretty nice. The conditions were actually good. It just started where it was no more red sticker bikes, right? So in California, if
good.
you're not familiar, some bikes that pollute a lot basically are red stickered, and you can only ride them during certain times of the year. So red sticker season ended June 1st. So that always cuts the crowds way back. But I don't know what else is going on. Maybe people are barbecuing. I know they are graduations, but John and I showed up about 1:00.
Yep.
And it was, I won't say it was empty, but it was pretty darn light, which was cool. I mean, John, you'd only been there one time
Yeah,
before,
that was my second
right?
time there. Yeah.
And you were on the bigger bike last time, right?
Yeah, I was on the KLR last time.
Yeah. So we got there, but just the condition wise, you know, occasionally the easier trails, they'll groom them a bit. They run some sort of a tracked thing over it. So a lot of the little jumps that you come over and it's just cratered on the other side, there weren't too many of those. A lot of so once we and we stayed kind of on the simpler stuff. I mean, some intermediate trails, because it's fun. You can get up some speed, but all the jumps were kind of jumpable. So that was kind of
Did
fun.
you guys ride there or trailer there?
Oh, we trailered.
We tried.
Ah.
We trailered. But I'm curious to hear John because he has this new bike out there.
Yeah.
Very different experience.
So this is, I mean, you really haven't broken in the XT very much.
He broke it in yesterday.
And when I first took you to Hollister, since we were on the big bikes, I just kind of did took you on all the easy trails. Just kind of did a tour
Right.
and then we rode back home. So what new things did you discover at Hollister?
Well, we did not play Hide the Weasel, unfortunately. So
Damn.
Just-
You do
just for the
not want to
record.
play Hide the Weasel with Jim.
I'm
let me
glad I
tell
don't
you.
even know what that is.
It's Catch the Weasel.
Mm.
Catch the Weasel.
same thing. Yeah. So great to be back there a second time. Last time was really, being on the big bike, it was a little different. So I took the XT 225 out yesterday, which is kind of my real first kind of shakedown ride for it, other than the little stuff that Liza and I did a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
And it was great, man. It was, I was surprised about how empty it was, like Jim said. And it was, the trails were great and the jumps were cool. And, that little XT was fun. It's always, to me, it seems a lot more fun to go, 80, 90% on a small bike than to do, 10 or, 50% on a bigger bike. So it's just kind of, I fell down like I always do but it was like, hey, this thing's light. Woo, pick it right up. And so we came out of that. There's a little playground area where there's a like a little seesaw thing, and Jim's such a great rider. It was fun to follow him. But we were going through there, and so at the end, Jim's like, okay, let's go back. So he went up and around, and I kind of cruised up this.
Well, I wanted to describe the playground area.
Yeah.
And Matt, you've never been to Hollister Hills,
Never
right?
been to Hollister.
So it's almost like a ski resort in that you have all these different hills and runs and everything, right? It's pretty vast. But there's this one section that is on basically the foothill that has, you're going through the oak trees and you've got different things where they've set up like a riverbed, or there's a sand and there's actually a pond there.
Yeah.
So you can ride around the edge of the pond.
I learned about that pond yesterday.
Or there's also some creek beds that you can go down and up, and it's called the playground. And there's a teeter totter and there's some wood and stuff. It basically gives you all the different things you might run into on an adventure ride that you can just practice. And there's
like a mini enduro course.
Whoopsies and stuff like that, but you can just kind of pick and choose. We call it the playground because it's just all these little setup scenarios for practicing that you can just ride around and try. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
cool.
neat. Yeah. And the riding was fun. It's that Hollister mix between sand and then just hard packed, almost like concrete.
Yeah.
But it was fine. And the playground was a hoot. I went in and did the teeter totter thing, and I looked over, John right behind me over the teeter totter. There he goes.
Nice.
Then he charged down into the creek bed, and I don't know what happened. I saw a big puff of dirt after that.
No, what happened is I came out, it's a little steep. So I gassed it coming up the little hill. And as soon as I crested, there's the pond there. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. It's like a crater.
Yeah.
So you go up the edge of the crater and you don't know that it's not flat up
Oh,
there.
Lord. And
that
it-
it drops down into a pond.
The
Surprise,
XT
motherfucker.
The XT's brakes are more like a suggestion than they are like a real brake. So
Yeah, how did the bike do though?
it did, it's small and it's light. It's underpowered, but it's enough to get around. It climbed the hills. Jim's bike is certainly faster. It's a newer bike with better suspension. So I have suspension on order for 2 months now. So I'm going to go through that, and hopefully that'll help it a little bit. But man, nothing's coming quick right now via,
Nice. Yeah.
via Britain. Actually, both pieces are coming.
Oh,
from Britain.
geez. Nice.
So
Yeah.
so, but I was happy with it. Super happy with it. So I put a gas tank on today, and
Cool.
so we can get a little more mileage out of the desert. And Liza had some bar risers, so trying to make it mine and make it fit a little better. So after I'm on my way.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm
I think
glad
that
to hear
tank looks pretty clean, honestly. I like the white tank.
Yeah, it turned out nice. I was real
Yeah.
happy with it.
But we were, you're worried about power, and we did some pretty not crazy hill climbs, but some pretty long hill climbs, sustained stuff. And it seemed like the bike tracked it up pretty good.
Yeah, the nice thing about the XT, because it's a 6-speed, low first gear is pretty granny. So just drop it into first and it'll just about climb anything. So that's even with my fat ass on it. So that's
It's a
pretty cool.
goat.
Yeah, but then we were talking about having to pick it up. Like picking it up, versus your 650.
Oh my God.
On flat ground, it's one thing, but we had to get it going twice, if not every time on
yeah,
a hill.
Yeah.
So what, 3 times or so?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, he broke it in. It was awesome though. You were charging.
Mike was telling me that he went dirt biking with Trevor, who has my old 250.
Yeah, but
And then
Sierra
he
Lake-
crashed
Shasta.
coming down a hill and high sided. So the top of the bike was on the downhill side, and he didn't have enough experience to know to grab the wheel and flip it around.
Yeah.
So he got on the downhill side and had to lift it up.
Oh God, no.
And apparently cracked something again on that bike. That bike has 1,200 miles on it, is on its 5th owner. And
2 side
just
cases.
keeps
Those two
getting
cut side
smashed, but that engine
It's,
keeps
yeah,
running.
it's on its second subframe right now.
I can say thank you for that bike, Emma. It is still going.
You're welcome.
It's unkillable. Well, it sounds like you had a good ride there. Were there any other challenging roads you took John up? John, because I didn't take you on high road.
We
or
did a lot of
anything.
the blue stuff, and I don't know if blue is really blue there. It's like green plus, I think, but it was different trails, more single track. He took me on, and
we found an interesting little spot that had never been open before. I haven't seen it. Right as you go with they have that ATV track, and it kind of splits off into the easier trails. They had a section open up where it had like a hard enduro kind of course. What do they call it? Enduro cross? I don't know what they were calling it.
Oh, yeah.
they had 2
Obstacle.
sections. They had the motocross section.
Enduro
too,
cross,
actually.
like what
Yeah,
Cody
but they
does.
called it obstacle cross, and
Right,
then it was a
right.
little motocross. But it was basically like a jostling thing on a little track.
yeah.
So it was really steep and had the pipe you could go over and the cement shit.
Is this a new development?
I had never seen it before.
Okay.
And I'm like, but it looked like it had been there. But it was kind of fun. It was a basically little skills kind of trials thing. It was
Who
pretty
builds
neat.
all this stuff? Is there volunteer
The state,
groups?
Oh, yeah, it's a state park.
Yeah, but I mean, surely there are.
Yeah, they have rangers there.
The rangers do all that stuff, or is there
And during
community
COVID,
kinda-
it was shut down, so they were able to really get in there and do a lot of work.
Okay.
I think Cora does some work out there too, of volunteer days.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes,
really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's nice to get to actual motorcycle people to build and set that up. Not
Yeah, I
just
thought
some-
there'd be a Friends of Hollister organization.
It might be all the above.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. But in that playground section, they're continuing to build it out. They're doing more step up stuff and anyway, crazy.
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It is.
And we had another great day in the garage today. Emma, you were busy helping fix stuff.
Yeah, moving around from bike to bike, but we did some quite good jobs today.
Yeah. And we had a new rider show up, Beth, who's I think this is cool. She went to a shop to look at new bikes
Right.
and explain that she was a brand new rider, hasn't even taken the class. She just went there to kind of learn about all the options, and they sent her to us.
Well,
Right,
what
yeah,
shop
that's really cool.
did that? That's awesome.
Monterey.
Something down in
Monterey.
Seaside.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Must
Yeah.
be might be Seaside Power Sports.
It could be, but it's not really their MO. It's probably
Yeah.
one of the smaller ones, maybe.
Well, shout out
but-
to whoever did
So I
that.
thought that was cool. So
Yeah.
she really had no idea what kind of styles there were, what fits. So she got to sit on a bunch of bikes, and then I took her in and gave her a bunch of gear.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
She was cool. She's the only thing that she said is just yeah, all I know is motorcycles are cool and I want one.
That's all
That's all you gotta know.
Yep. That's all you gotta know.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think she'll come back. She stayed all day.
Yeah.
She's
Right on.
kind of fascinated. And Emma, you had Brendan's bike apart. What'd you do on that?
It's quite a common problem on SVs and V-Stroms. They're plagued with coolant leaks. Those bikes kind of run warm, and summertime temperatures and thin oil, and if the oil gets a little bit low, the problem's exacerbated. And the coolant system's like a labyrinth throughout the engine. The thermostat, instead of being bolted onto the engine, it kind of sits almost like a spider hanging between the cylinders. And a couple of the O-rings had gone bad. They'd just gone hard
What
and
was it?
nasty.
Was it a coolant leak from the rear cylinder or something? From
No,
the-
it's
the
actually
hoses?
where the bypass hoses go into the cylinders themselves.
Right. Okay.
And it's like a steel tube
I'm sorry,
that pushes into
that's-
the aluminium head. And,
Yeah.
I'm
it's
sorry, Emma,
like
that's tube.
a tube, darling. Tube.
Cube.
It's tubular, darling. But yeah, I mean, it's a long drink of water for a small sip. But basically, it took us about 2 hours to pull it down enough to put 2 50-cent O-rings in it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I know he brought to
You
me
did the thing, huh?
some of the splices that go in for the tubing.
Yes,
They were very, very corroded. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
stuck them to work with a wire brush cleaning that
exactly,
off.
and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Thing was running pretty good at the end.
Yeah, it ran
sounded
great,
good.
and it, more importantly, it didn't leak.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more demoralizing than fixing a leak and then starting up and the thing leaks again.
Yeah.
We don't like that kind of behavior.
And then Bagel, you went on a ride, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Several rides, actually. The Top Dead Center Scooter Club here in Eugene had their Oregon 100 rally this weekend, which is centered around a timed course ride around the area. And we had about, I think it was 47 scooters in all that participated.
Oh, nice.
And so we had, but the rally started on Friday night with a meet and greet in town at the Jackalope Lounge, and had a good turnout. People who showed up, a lot of old friends who I hadn't seen in a long time. So that was really cool. And yeah, and we were all pretty much staying outside, and but we were able to have beers out there on the sidewalk, and yeah, it was a good time. And lots of vintage bikes showed up. Vespas and Lambrettas mostly. I was the only Heinkel.
Nice.
Lots of people were fascinated by it. A lot of people said it was the first time they'd ever seen one in person. So so it was really cool. I was able to bring it out and give them that opportunity.
Were you like Scooter Jesus showing the people the way with your Heinkel?
Are you a Heinkel head?
You're starting
Well,
to look like kind of Jesus-y there, man.
It's the kind of bike that people love to admire, but it's not the bike that everybody necessarily wants to own or ride.
Right.
It's not the fastest, but it's certainly very different, and really it stands out quite a bit. But my Heinkel did run very well all weekend, which I was very happy about.
Nice.
And so the main event was on Saturday. This was the 100-mile ride, which was through a course that was unknown until that like just before the ride, and everybody got a route sheet that told them where to go. And the course was divided up into 4 segments, and each segment you were supposed to have get as close as possible to the established time for that route, but you didn't know what that time was. But it was set based on a vintage scooter. You're riding a vintage scooter, but you had to kind of guess at what sort of a normal pace would be and follow that and navigate it properly so that you're on course and you don't lose time. And so it's kind of a guessing game. But if you ride consistently and you navigate well, you can do pretty well.
Were you allotted extra spark plugs just in case things sort of get foul?
That's all on you. But yeah, it was a challenging course to navigate. There were a lot of turns, and you had to pay attention to how far the stretch was for each segment that you were going, each road you were riding on. But I was riding in a team of 4 people, and it went actually really well for us. We only almost missed a couple of turns, but caught it, before we went the wrong way. And we came in fairly. We weren't in the top 3 or so, but we came in fairly well. I think we might have been 6th or something like that.
Did you get a roll chart to go with that?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, rad.
Yep. Yeah, we had there were roll charts, and there were like larger route sheets depending on what people's preference was. So yeah, so that was it was a great ride. It was a little bit overcast and a little chillier than we'd hoped for it to be, but it wasn't too bad, and the roads were clear, and there were nice all along nice back roads throughout the Lane County area. And so there wasn't a lot of traffic, which was nice. And we had a nice barbecue at the end of the day after the ride at one of the club members' houses, and with a raffle and awards for people who did the best on the ride. And then this morning we had a breakfast meetup and then a ride through wine country and back into Eugene. So it was a great weekend, and I put a total of 366 miles on my Heinkel over the weekend. So it's definitely gotten the biggest workout it's had in literally over a decade.
And how did it run, Bagel?
It ran phenomenally well. I think I might need to tweak the carb a little bit. It's got a little bit of a flat spot, sort of on the low end, and it doesn't seem like it's quite getting to the upper end of the RPM ranges as easily as it should, but it is a Heinkel, so maybe that's just all it's got.
I'm zooming in on where you live in the surrounding areas of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool roads over there, man.
There are a
Very
lot of very
sneaky.
nice roads. Yeah. And there's a lot of agricultural areas around here, and little winding roads that go all through that really don't get a lot of traffic.
So, Knock, when
Yes.
we came back from the one show, we stopped at Bagels,
Mhm.
me and Michael. And when we left Bagels, we took back roads pretty much, I'd say, for a couple of hours. Does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sound about right, Bagel?
Yeah.
And it's glorious countryside. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's absolutely.
You went off like a 126 because I'm looking at 126.
Yeah,
in
no, I
Florence,
think we
yeah.
took 126 all the way down, and
Yeah.
no, it's absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep. Yeah, we're not too far from the lake, and a lot of wetlands around there, and it's a beautiful country.
My question to you, Bagel, how much more do you think you would have enjoyed that ride had you been on a proper motorbike?
on a PC 800.
Yeah, PC 800,
Oh,
baby.
it would have been very very easy, but very disappointing.
Do you
because
think
it
you might
wouldn't
have
be the
got-
same experience?
Do you think you might have got ribbed a little by your scooter chums?
Oh, very much.
Okay, well, we mustn't have that.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a great time, and lots of good people, and just really good vibes. So many thanks
I'm-
to Joe and everybody at the Top Dead Center Scooter Club for putting on a great rally.
How many Heinkels were there?
I was the only one.
Oh, God. I
Yeah.
am absolutely thrilled that you are using the HE111 again, because it's brilliant.
103. 103.
Oh, I see.
The 103A2.
Yes, the Heinkel.
Heinkel Jesus.
But
Start calling you Heinkel
yeah,
Jesus.
I think it's an epic machine.
Yeah, it's I have to say it's really nice to get out and ride it again, because I only got it back together last year, as
Right.
it's been out of commission for I think since 2007,
Right.
and it's I've noticed that I'm not used to riding it, so it took a little bit to get back into the swing of it, but it started coming back, and it felt really good.
And you know what, Bagel? I wouldn't mind actually putting forward that as a contender for a misunderstood machine, because unless you understand what it was designed for and what Germany was like when it was new,
Yeah.
you really can't fully understand what it is, because it's a very big, heavy, extremely slow scooter, which is complete opposite for the offerings from Italy. And you think, well, what the hell is this thing about? But then you understand that in the late 50s and early 60s, Germany was still very much a country rebuilding from the Second World War. Traffic was very, very light. But it's a relatively big country. So if you're going from town to town on back roads that don't have many cars on them, a Heinkel scooter is actually quite a nice place to be.
Yeah, and a lot of Germany is fairly flat too, so you don't have to worry about hills, and especially in the northern.
How many
northern
horsepower
parts.
has that thing got?
I think it's. Oh, I'd have to look it up, but
It's single digits, isn't it?
yeah, I think I want
like
to say
9.
9, but I'm
Yeah,
not
I want to
sure
say it's
that
about
much.
9.
Yeah,
You know where that scooter is even better suited for?
Where?
where's that?
A vintage scooter rally.
That's the best place for it.
Yeah, and I was the slow one among the vintage scooters, pretty much, especially on the hills.
Well, do you think that Bagel is best suited as a vintage scooterist rally? Because you are quite a vintage scooterist now, aren't you?
Well, I have been since the beginning.
Yes. No, I mean you are vintage, darling.
Oh, I am vintage. Yes, I am
Yes.
indeed. Well, most of us are.
Hey Bagel, I got a question for you on that
Yes.
on that scoot. Does it have an e-start or is it kickstart only?
It is electric start. It has a Dynastart, in fact.
Because Matt was asking when kickstarts went out of fashion, e-starts came in, which leads to a story. But first, I want to say that Paul has joined us. Say hey, everyone.
Hello.
There you go. So,
Hey.
Paul, you missed this. I wanted to give Matt, your son, another little lesson.
She wanted to haze me.
And he thought it was hazy. No. I think it is important, and everyone in this room has gone through it.
The
That
hazing.
that you are able to kickstart a motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
I told you I kickstarted an XR200.
Yeah, that doesn't count. That does not count. But we had Knox XR650R sitting out there, and I'm like, this is perfect.
I could not start it, by the way. There was no key.
There was no
which
key.
might have been important.
I told you probably wouldn't, but I could also tell that
I would not have.
you wouldn't have. No, I think it is important, and it was kind of fun to see him out there kicking away, and I think everyone needs to be able to experience that. But at least just on that bike, compared to Mikey's knucklehead that was here earlier,
God, yeah.
that you can see that it takes a bit of effort, finesse, and knowledge to probably kickstart. But e-starts have been around. What was the first e-start?
No, e-starts have been around forever.
Forever.
For as long as motorbikes. But
Yeah.
you know, the biggest problem with motorcycles, and we're fighting the same battles now with electric bikes as we fought all along, is real estate or lack thereof. A motorcycle is a very, very compact device, and there's a lot going on. And electric starters really were certainly not invented by the Japanese manufacturers, but they were sort of perfected because the Japanese figured out the way to make everything small enough to bolt it on a motorbike. Before then, you'd see an electric start on a bike, say, you know, on a Harley. The electric starters in the early 60s was big as car starters, but, you know, it's a big damn bike.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's in the early 60s, you could buy a Yamaha 90cc twin with an electric start on it. It's like amazing. And
So-
that was a dyno starter. That was the dynamo that became the starter, you see.
And Matt, how many bikes did you say you have ridden?
Not many. I think I could certainly less than 10 different bikes. And
Oh, damn.
most
That's good though.
most of the bikes
start.
I've really spent time riding are just bikes I've owned. I mean, I
Right.
kind of came to the sport on my own terms and sort of by myself. And
Well, you know, I believe you lead quite a sheltered life living in your laboratory, don't
that's
you?
true.
Yes. Okay. Well, we need to fix that,
We'll
sweetie.
start hanging out with the biker trash.
Yes.
Mm.
Bike trash, girls and motorbikes for you, young man,
Though
is
there-
what we
The
prescribe.
bright future ahead.
Yes,
So
I
there-
believe so.
There is a record of you riding a bike or trying to.
Looks like
All-time
glossy.
Paul.
ultimate
How old
photos.
was he here?
Probably 7, I think.
I think he was 7.
Yeah, that's
And
about right.
they came down, and I remember I let Paul ride my BMW and put Matt on, and then I took your older brother, who was, how old was John then?
9, probably.
Yeah,
Like
no.
9.
Mhm.
I took him on the Ducati. I said, "Hey kid, you want to see what 100 feels like?"
That's awesome.
I remember
You
because
wanna
I
do
was
that
on the
time?
BMW, and I remember that he was on the bike that was red, which meant it was fast. And
True.
Yes.
100% true.
True.
Yeah, and what's cool about this photo is, if you notice, this is taken in front of the garage before there was a tent, before there was
Wow.
anything. That's last time he visited. It was when I just started the garage,
There's certainly a
wow.
lot more
Wow.
wow.
and there was nothing here.
And we rode
Yeah.
up to Davenport, as I recall. And
Yeah.
I think we switched bikes, didn't we?
Did I let you ride
I
the?
think so. Maybe not.
you didn't do 100 though. I was let down by that. The one thing you want when you're 7 years old is a red motorcycle that goes 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Totally.
And,
No.
and John bragged to his mother on the ride home that you had taken him to 100 miles an hour.
Oh, God, I bet
Yeah,
that went down well.
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't see him for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Liza doesn't care about your kids. Just remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, it was on Highway 1, and it lasted about 3 seconds.
That's fair.
But you know,
sort of cares about your kids.
on the Ducati, you could get it up pretty quick. So
Yeah.
that was fun. But you had a great experience today. I think you got to see a lot of different bikes and
Mhm.
sit on some bikes,
Mhm.
including Mike's chopper with these like apes and forward
Demented
controls.
motorcycle.
And
Insane that you can ride that and survive.
and you got
Yes.
to see Electric Terry ride in on the Charger on there.
They're on
And
the contraption.
On the barge.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the dog
so you got
barge.
to sit on a few bikes. Were there
Dog
any that
barge.
stuck out that you really enjoyed?
I already forgot the name. Obviously, the show bike that was here was really the motorcycle of the
Oh,
day for me.
the little Motor
Oh.
Marine
that thing
Yeah.
is just too beautiful to not desire.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But you know, I know that you have just kind of been deep dive going into like adventure
That's
and
what brought me
enduro
in.
bikes.
I 100% was brought into motorcycling by the sort of adventure sort of surge recently. That's what brought me in.
Well, you, sir, are in luck because joining us tonight on the show, the editor of ADV Moto Magazine himself, it's Carl Parker. Carl, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
There he is.
All right.
Hey.
All
Nice.
right.
Can you-
Right, awesome.
Can you see us all?
Yeah, I think I've got a visual like on everyone. It's a really cool setup you've got there. That's awesome.
Kind of
Everyone's-
crazy, huh?
It's cool. Everyone's hanging out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and Carl, so great to have you on here. ADV Moto Magazine is pretty cool. I think I gifted a subscription to Jim.
Yeah, it was a great surprise, Carl. It came home and opened the mailbox, and instead of bills, it's like, hey, there's a cool, nice adventure motorcycle magazine all of a sudden. So
Yep.
I was stoked on it. But
Magazines, what are those?
it's nice to hold in your hands.
Yeah, well, I met Carl back at the AMA Vintage Days a few years ago now. I think it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, boy, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think Knock, you might were you there when we had the Chicksistan ladies?
No, I was probably.
No,
at
but
home
Bagel
or-
Yeah, I think that was it was 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to meet Carl, and he let me, a complete stranger, he let me take out his Himalayan for a spin when they were just
Oh, fun.
brand new.
Right.
And I was very curious about them. Well, Carl, thank you for coming on. I know there's so much to talk about. What you should know is you have a room full of people who are, besides just being motorcycle nuts, a lot of us are adventure and enduro fans. So especially as I was just introducing Matt and Paul, who are here, who are just getting into it. In fact, Paul just got a new bike that's pretty cool. Paul, you want to tell everyone what you got?
Tenere 700.
Brand new.
There you
Brand
go.
new.
That's what a great
Sick
bike.
bike, dog. How do you like it? How do you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Aren't those coming up in an issue, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh yeah, of course. You know, there's just so much stuff out there for the T7. It's fantastic how much support, especially like the aftermarket, is thrown at it.
Oh.
I mean, there's just so much stuff that you know that you can do on the bike. Have you had much chance to ride it yet?
No, it only has about 400 miles on it.
I think I
So
put
I've
like
only-
300 of those miles on for you.
It doesn't
He's
count.
just test riding it for you.
Yeah.
You got to crash it.
It took a couple months to get. I ordered it in January and I got it just at the end of April.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Oh wow.
yeah, it
Yeah.
needs some accessories. It needs the upper crash bars, and I have the lower ones, but I've got to get the upper ones.
Gotta
and-
do it.
What else are you going to put on there? I mean, like, what's your dream T7?
You got to get some cool lights. You got to get some bark
Yeah.
busters. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
you got to
Get
complete
some
the
Tron
pack.
lights.
It's pretty stock. It's in a sad state right now, so it needs.
I
to
will
be
say they
upgraded.
look pretty good stock though, as far as ADV bikes go.
They were a lot smaller than I expected them to be. It's sitting next to one. I was like, oh, this is decent size,
Well, they
workable.
Well, I mean,
motorcycle.
they had to be because the Super 10 is such a truck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the only criticism that you can level at the Super 10 is just such a friggin' giant bike.
Pretty big.
It's not for everyone. So you make the Tenere a manageable size.
Well, it's like shaft versus chain drive.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Super 10's a shaft.
Yeah, right. It's a cool bike. I sat on it. It's the first time I'd sat on one. I've ridden the bigger one a few times, which is cool. We got the Africa Twins, but the little one feels way more fun to ride. Like you could. I mean, still has the big front wheel, right? 21-inch front
21,
wheel.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't feel like it when you sat on it. When you sit on
Right.
the Africa Twin, boy, it certainly feels like this is a tall bike. But that one felt
Oh yeah.
much more
Yeah.
nimble. And I think, and you've got some look like Shinko 704s on it or
Mhm.
something, some sort of knobby. But
Pirellis, isn't it?
Those are
Yeah, they come with Pirelli.
stock
those.
tires.
oh, are they? But they look
Yeah.
all right, man. I think it'd be fun to take that out on some fire roads and and rip it up a little bit.
Well, actually, they're going for a ride tomorrow,
Oh,
and
we
I was
talked about that.
suggesting they go
Mhm.
do the Old Coast Highway.
The one around behind Bixby
Yeah,
Bridge.
behind
I was
Bixby
telling them
Bridge.
the same one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, all the other cool stuff's
Hmm.
closed because of the fires, but
Yeah.
that one you can still access.
Carl, have you been on Old Coast Highway out here? Have you ridden much on Highway 1?
Actually, no, I haven't. I did ride up a northern part of it when I was touring around the United States in 03 and had some really great times up there. So it is beautiful, but I haven't seen the southern part of it during the day.
Well, you officially have an open invitation to come up here and borrow a bike and go for a ride.
Right on.
There's a question for you, darling. Where are you based? Where are you calling us from?
Oh, we are out of Virginia, basically. So East Coast time.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So out here, it's a lot of the Appalachian riding,
Oh,
stuff like that.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's really nice, and the community is really coming together, really well out here, and it's a great place to ride a T7.
Right.
Yeah, there's a fantastic amount of
There's a
this
goal.
mud kind of touring and twisty roads too, but they also can break into some, nice off-road sections. Gravel's perfect for that kind of bike.
Now, do you have the ability to get some riding in from Four Seasons, or late fall until early spring? It's done, or can you get at least some in?
It depends on how hardcore you are, right?
Right.
I mean, there's some other people that will
very
ride all year.
because we live in California. Winter for us
Sure.
is rain.
Happily sport.
Yeah. No, I said, if you had asked me that, I would say about 10 years ago, I would probably say that it would be much more seasonal. But actually, the winters have been kind of warming up.
Right.
So it depends on what your personal tolerance level is. Like for me, it's not as much of a problem as long as it's not wet and freezing, right? Like as soon as it gets wet and freezing, the game changes, like dramatically. But if it's cold, but it's sunny and dry, which it is sometimes in the winter, then there's no reason that you can't also ride. However, when you get into the mountains and in the canopies, there's a lot of mud out here, and the way that those will freeze overnight and stuff like that, But anyway, it's just a different place to ride. But there's plenty of riding around here.
Oh, sure.
And I wanted to give Carl a plug because I was recently on his show
What?
with Shauna Michelle, the Rev Sisters, for the Moto Film Festival.
That was a great show. I really enjoyed that. You guys are awesome.
Oh, thanks. Because not only does he have the magazine, he also has, it's podcast and YouTube? Are you doing both?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. Yeah.
All right.
Just like we're doing.
Cool.
Yeah. Just so people can get the plug in. Let's hear where do people find you?
Well, I mean, you can just go to YouTube, ADV Moto.
There you go.
We also link to stuff around all of our social on Instagram. All that stuff is ADV Moto Mag. But our next show will be this Thursday, where we're going to have Kelly Quinn, some know her as Throttle Girl. She's been riding a Pan America around, I think, covering some parts of Route 66 for a while, kind of testing it out, and creating some stories about it. And then we're going to have a couple of the guys from Harley Davidson on themselves, and we're going to go talk about, like the Pan America and, how it came to be and stuff like that. I mean, it's a really interesting entry into the market right now. And I think there's a lot of cool stories to learn there.
Yes, Carl, the Pan America was here last week.
How'd you guys like it?
I loved it. I mean, it's such a giant leap forward for anything that Harley's offered. I mean,
and I want to say, Emma's perspective is not so much as an adventure rider, but as a master mechanic and lover of bikes. So when she says that she likes a bike, fit and finish is, I think, at the foremost for you. Would you say?
Well, and Harley, for all their faults, Harleys have always been very, very well bolted together. And I'm not speaking as a Harley fan, but criticism of paintwork and chroming and powder coating, it's never really been a Harley problem. Harley problem has been kind of getting the weight down, getting the power up, and actually getting the thing so it can compete. And the Pan America is just, it might be the best adventure bike I've ever ridden. Potentially. I mean, it's a big old thing, but dear God, it's got so much power.
And it looks so cool.
And it looks cool. And it does, as an inexperienced adventure rider, but a very experienced mechanic, it does everything I'd want from an adventure bike, and probably a lot more as well.
It strikes me as it doesn't strike me as a hardcore adventure bike ish as some other things do. But it does, if you're a Harley rider and you're kind of bored with the Harley scene and the bagger scene, and you want to kind of get into that adventure-y thing and maybe have the opportunity to get off-road a little bit, I think it's meant for that. You look at the price point and it looked like to me, if I dropped it all day long, it would probably take a little bit of a beating. It didn't look super burly to me like some of the other bikes do. And it's a little more pricey, but I think it's a super capable off-road bike, right? I mean, none of us have really taken it off road, so to speak. So it's really hard until you do a hill climb on a dirt bike. You really don't know what it's going to do, but it's a great looking bike. And I'm glad Harley's doing it. I think it'll bring more people into ADV riding.
So Carl, have you had a chance to ride it yet?
No, I haven't. You know, I guess the junket was just last month or something like that.
Right.
And we haven't had a sample of it out here yet. So we hope to see one out here directly in the Mid-Atlantic soon.
If I can give you a kind of a yardstick, Carl, it feels like a very, very lively Super 10.
Interesting.
That's what it felt like to me, because it's a big old thing. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah.
But it carries its weight very much like a Super 10.
So it carries it a little bit low feeling. You know, I actually love the Super 10. It's a fantastic bike.
I hate to say it actually in this company, but I prefer it to the Africa Twin. I really do.
It's more cruiser-ish.
Well,
you know, like it has a more like it has a lower slung stance and the torque on that thing, and you know, just the overall kind of like reliability of it. But it's a freight train off road,
right?
You know what I mean? Like.
And that's kind of the Pan America. To me, it felt very much like a Super 10, but with a lot more power.
Wow.
Not a small amount of power, a lot more power.
How does the weight compare between the two? Do you know?
I think it might be a little lighter. I found it a little more agile.
Nice. So, hey,
yeah,
I got a question for you. What do you think is the state of ADV riding in 2021 right now, considering the lack of supply and aside from that, I guess in the last, let's say, like 5 to 10 years, would you say is the scene growing a little bit more, or is more attention to it? I mean, I do notice that there's more selection of motorcycles to choose from to do ADV stuff.
Is that directed at me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just checking when there's a conversation. I want to be sure someone is addressing me first. I mean, if you go back 5 to 10 years, right, the stages that it was in was very different, right? Yeah. So in 2010, when I took over as publisher, for ADV Moto, I mean, there was really almost no representation of it in motorcycle media at all.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the folks were out there still, of course, doing this, like on BMWs, and that's fantastic. I mean, they always kind of carried that torch, and it's wonderful. You know what I mean? But around here, like after 1992 or something, I mean, we just lost a lot of the cool bikes, right? And like we kept like the DR650s, the KLRs, and everything like that, which is cool. And we've all been living off of those for a while.
Amen. Amen. You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah. So then, about 10 years ago, I mean, no one even wanted to buy the domain adventuremotorcycle.com. That wasn't even interesting enough to people in the mainstream motorcycle media. That's how basically undercovered, and I felt underappreciated it was, because adventure riders, some of them that I've met and had the great fortune to meet, some of them have had near mythological experiences on motorcycles, and I'm like, there's no way this is not interesting stuff.
Right.
There's a couple of things that I really have become to appreciate about adventure motorcycles, and I think that there may be a misunderstanding that people don't get into adventure riding because they think it means you're going to go on dirt. And what I've learned, especially last week when I took Enzo out on that ride, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go dirt riding, but I was riding with a kid on the back and I said, let's go get lost. Let's have an adventure. Yeah. Let's just pick a road and see what's at the end of it. And I knew I was on a bike that was capable of handling anything we may encounter. And he had so much fun on this adventure of getting lost. So I see the potential to keep growing as more and more people just discover not just the bikes and their abilities, but that kind of mindset, I think,
and I think ultimately, it taps into this sense of adventure. This really old-fashioned sense of daring do. I mean, we go back to the days of Che Guevara going around South America on this Norton in the 1940s, and it's a really old-fashioned. It's a very daring thing.
Didn't
to
even
do.
name for that? Didn't that?
Yeah, the powerful one, and I can't remember the what's the Spanish?
Poderoso.
Yes, that was the name of the bike. But there's something very, very old-fashioned about it. It's just kind of this adventurous spirit that we all want to tap into.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I ride dirt bikes. I mean,
Right.
it's like John and I went to Hollister Hills and SRV area, and we rode around, had a great time riding dirt bikes. But I love going to the Sierras at like 8,000 feet and riding in the mountains on fire roads that you've never been before. You know, that I think is a lot of the thrill, and the technical stuff is thrilling in a different way. But I agree, it's the exploration and the big ADV bikes. And I'm curious to what Carl has in the garage and his thoughts.
Yeah, that was my next
Right.
question.
But it was kind of like, why is it so popular now? That's one curious thing. But yeah, the ADV bikes, they let you ride for a whole long way and then go camping. You know, we went down to Carrizo Plain, and that was like, anyway, yeah.
But you know, Carl, I kind of come from the English perspective, and I remember back in the 80s, we had some fantastic bikes in Europe. I mean, we had the TDR 850s, the TDMs, the two-strokes.
Crazy, man. Those were beautiful bikes.
Exactly. The original Africa Twin, the original Tenere, which of course was based on the XT600 and the XT5s and the TTs.
Yeah.
And it all kind of went away. And the interest for those bikes all came out of Paris-Dakar.
Yep.
All came out of the Paris-Dakar race in the 70s.
Yep.
And you were absolutely right. Even in Europe, the kind of interest kind of waned in the 1990s. And I don't know how much you credit with Ewan and Charlie kind of bringing this interest back.
Oh, there's no doubt they play, a very important part of making it, part of the public scene.
Right.
And mainstream, and there are there are a lot of pros to it, and there are also, and I've met some along the way, people that got themselves in over their heads.
Right,
of,
exactly.
Because of an idea, which like whenever anybody wants to go out and make it happen, I mean, I admire that spirit, but
yeah,
but that was a production, right? And what most of us experience are not productions like that, right? So, I mean, if you're going to be honest about the experience, what I would love to see is I would love to see them, both Ewan and Charlie do one, but without a team. I think that that the message and everything, where they're filming themselves, that way you don't have to carry a crew, you don't draw the attention.
Like Naked and
I want to see them take the Elspeth beard to.
I was going to say,
oh yeah,
down to Elspeth beard,
and you have to run over at least one meal. You don't have to get injured in the process.
No. You don't want to tear a cylinder off your BMW and be in bed for a month, but
Hey, but
you
it fed
need
a
to
family.
run over a meal.
I got a question. I got a couple questions for you, Carl. So you're the guy when it comes to ADV. You're the guy. It says so on your hat, right? So
Yeah,
what is
I'm
in
the
your
guy.
what is in your garage?
Oh yeah, well, nothing too wild. I mean, I've got a T7, I've got a Himalayan 400 and a WR250R.
Oh, you want to sell it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Where do you live? I'll see you.
Yeah, this sort of touches back on a couple of other things that were discussed tonight, which was old bike, new bike, like whatever it is, it no matter what era it was, what's always been important was the people that ride.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's marvelous that we have some of the technology and the bikes that we have today. I mean, the T7 has hit such a sweet spot because Yamaha recognized that with the racing experience and listening to the market, people just want a consumer level rally bike, like a mid-size, like consumer level rally bike, and that's what they delivered. And now we're all waiting for more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, in fact, because you're the guy who knows everything about adventure
It
riding.
says it on his hat, by the way.
It says it on your hat.
I'm the guy.
I wanted to ask you, and especially also everyone here in the room, because with bikes like the T7, there's a lot of bikes that are entering the market, and also the Pan America, that are trying to fit a little bit different niche.
Right.
I want to know from you, Carl, what niche hasn't been filled? What adventure bike needs to be built that doesn't exist
That's a
yet?
good question.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's a pretty clear to me at this point in time, which is a 450cc street legal multi-cylinder rally bike.
The car bike.
Oh, you hit it
Yeah,
with light.
yeah,
Look
right.
at Emma. I know
Yeah.
what she's gonna say.
Carl,
I know what you're gonna say.
I have had this discussion for years. And if I was going to build an adventure bike, I would buy Jim's Rally Raid Honda 250.
Wait, can I guess the engine?
Throw the engine away and put a Ninja 500 Kawasaki twin in it.
Yeah, the CB500 motor is not bad
in
either.
that direction.
Well, and that's very, very
Yeah.
similar. But I was doing this on a budget, and twin cylinder 500cc liquid cooled, 60 horsepower in a lightweight chassis. It's got to be the best adventure bike, hasn't it?
It would be awesome. You know, I mean, still might be healthier to keep it to back roads, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, there's nothing wrong with that, like as far as touring goes. But yeah, I mean, you know, we all want to keep that weight for under 400 pounds. I mean, that's a real killer, right? So for like a mid-sized bike, you know, so actually we had an artist do some concept art. It was basically like a DRZ400. Everything from the tank back was stock, but we just had them reimagine a rally-like front end for it, which, you know, could be molded and everything like that. And it looks sick. Actually, bikes like the DRZ don't need much. They just need that front end to be fixed up and a 6th gear and fuel injection. And, you know, I mean, could you imagine if the DRZ400 had a factory rally, you know, kit with a 6-speed, maybe from a 400 to a 450? I mean, it's still a thumper, but even still, we all know the torque on that.
You know what? And those,
right?
those
And then for like $7,500.
I just want you to know you're crushing Matt right now, who has a DRZ400 and loves it dearly.
It's the best bike of all time.
here's what I'll
They
say,
are totally cool bikes, but they can be developed.
Absolutely, they're primitive.
Even a little fairing, a little windscreen on a bike makes a huge difference. When we were in South Dakota in the Black Hills, I had to slab it from whatever state's next to it. I had to get gas back up in.
Those sirens are not behind you.
Who's got warrants?
You have to be
Quick,
careful
put it
with
away.
sharing stuff. Like I actually put a windscreen on my DRZ, and it actually made everything worse because of the laminar sort of smooth airflow.
Created
We
buffeted.
got to get it from the factory because on my 250, I've got that little windscreen. I was going from wherever I was getting gas, again, like about an hour and a half, a lot of it on the freeway, and I got caught in the rain. But when you can tuck behind that little windscreen, and I don't have any
If you
problem.
tuck, it's good.
And I could do like 70, but that little windscreen makes a huge difference. So I think what Carl's saying, you know, is
I
for
have
a dual sport bike.
I have the perfect bike.
Oh no, it's a
Stretch booster with knobbies. Stretch booster
I thought it was a
with
Pacific
knobbies.
And a windscreen.
All right, I got another question for Carl because he is the guy, right?
Mhm.
I want to see.
It says that on my hat.
I think it's.
It says it on my hat.
We've been.
For those listening, I've got a giant "the guy" embroidered across the top of my hat. Real as day. It's as real as day.
We've been kind of compiling this amongst ourselves, but I want to see from you what would be the top 3 adventure bikes that are most suitable for a short rider? Because this is something that is hard. And I know I've met people who didn't think that they can even get into this segment because the bikes are so tall. So what to you are 3 bikes that you would say, if you are short stature, you should check out?
Well, anywhere from TW200 to Himalayan and XT250.
Right.
I mean, if you want to stay, you know, more
What about the CB500? Is that not?
more off road. CB500 actually, I don't think is that short.
I don't think they are.
It's not, and you have to put the Rally Raid kit on it.
And that'll lift it up another inch or so,
Yeah.
or something
So-
like that.
And just to let you know, I think because, you know, we're talking about what's the niche that needs to be filled. For me, what I've seen, and especially with Stumpy John, who's here, that I've learned that there's a whole lot of people who want to get into it, but finding a bike that for short statured people that they can ride. And what we have discovered, what John discovered, is that the Tiger 800.
Yeah, it fits perfect.
Actually, I know a few people. We know somebody shorter than John who rides one. Is a great bike.
And you can go lower than mine too. So I'm
You talk about the ones with the 1917
Yes.
wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Those are cool bikes.
But that's something you may want to cover in your magazine, on your podcast, because that's the thing. When I look at new bikes that are coming out, I'm now more aware of the height. For me, also, I was never aware of height because I'm a tall person until I got the Africa Twin, which is a friggin' beast, and I'm intimidated.
It's a big bitch.
Pushing it out of my garage, and I realized, oh, this is that fear factor that everyone deals with when you have a bike that's big, right? Like my biggest fear is walking it out of the garage, not riding it, walking it out of the
Just
garage.
moving it around.
Mine's a kickstand.
Yeah.
How do you like the
Kickstand killed me
T7
every
then? You know, like if I could ask, how do you like the T7?
Did you get to sit on it,
No, I
John?
didn't sit
since
on
it
it.
was out there?
I had a bad experience last time I sat on a tall bike.
Yeah. No, for me, the Carl, just so you know, I have the Africa Twin DCT, Adventure Sport, and then I have the 690 Enduro KTM,
Yeah,
and then
sick
a
bikes.
couple
Sick bikes.
KLRs. I love the 690 to pieces, but it is very tall. It's not heavy, but it's very tall. And if you don't have the legs, you rule it out. But I have seen people ride DRZ400s that were shortened.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is it's not only the height, it's also the width of the bike too.
Right.
Because for example, I sat on the KLX 300. I rode it. It was Jocelyn's. Or she had it for on loan.
Yeah.
And I was fine with that because it's so narrow I could still get to the ground. But when I gotta go out and down,
KLXs have lower seat height than the
it was
DRZs
it was
for
35.1.
Sure. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Never mind.
I'll tell you the bike that I want to be good is that the California Scooter Company, that little, I think it's a 250.
Oh, the RX3?
Yeah, 300. Yeah, it looks like a little GS. I want that to be the bike that short people can ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I had to work on it though.
Do you have much experience with those, the CSCs?
I've actually spent a few minutes on them, and I also am somewhat familiar with the factory where they come from. And they're cool bikes. I mean, being an importer of a quote unquote off brand is really kind of like a Mount Everest to climb in this country. And it's, I'm really amazed and very happy at how far, like they've made it. It's a fantastic thing. And I think they even have a larger bike now, being offered. I haven't checked on that recently, but
for me, I think almost like a 7/8 scale full adventure bike with the panniers and everything.
Yeah. Well, there's the 310, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as small as you would think.
One cylinder.
While we're talking about oddities, Carl, can we chat about the Himalayan?
Oh,
Because
please.
I love
to.
the Himalayan.
Okay, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Is it really an
love
adventure
it.
bike?
Yes.
Convince me.
No, it
yeah.
is.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
in every inch, because if you still distill it down to adventure bikes being about adventure and tales of daring do that you can bore your grandchildren with, the Himalayan is a perfect platform. I think they're quite charming. I think it may be one of the most charming adventure bikes out there. It's certainly not fast, but there's something
not fast.
about it.
Yeah. First off, there's nothing like it out there. You
Right.
can't say it's any kind of imitation of anything. And that's
True.
one thing I like about it, which is, like straight up, I pull up to a gas station next to a Ducati. People want to talk about the Himalayan
Right.
because it's, you know what I mean? It's
and
quirky looking.
And the cockpit belongs in a World War I fighter plane.
That's awesome.
It has the cockpit from a Sopwith Camel. I mean,
That's
it's
awesome.
fantastic.
And what's the retail on those? Was it like 6,500?
No, the newer ones are 49 or 5.
Yeah.
5.
Okay.
Royal
changes the
Enfield practically pay you to
$44.99.
ride them.
$44.99. Have you seen these before, Paul?
Not really.
The Royal
no.
Enfield.
Yeah.
There was
We
a lot
actually-
of suspicion when it came out.
Yeah, we actually just had a guy come to our event last weekend? And he rode to basically Central Virginia from Delaware in one day on his new Himalayan. He's only been riding for like 9 months. And he had these like crazy Navi tires on there, and it was raining and stuff. We were like, just take it easy, man. just take it
He's
easy out here.
happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was,
I was about to say there's a countdown on your camera that just
Yeah,
went off.
I know, that's all right. It'll come back on.
It'll come back.
There
on.
you go.
There we are. But so they are capable of doing all kinds of crazy things. They don't fit a stereotype because it's kind of cruisery, kind of dual sporty.
Yeah.
It's it is a funky bike. You have to kind of like it for what it is. But I
don't think there's actually some rigid parameters of what an adventure bike should be. It's not like you say an adventure bike has to have a 21-inch front wheel.
Yeah, it can be a scooter.
It can be anything. It's a very, very broad term. And I think the Himalayan work fits it. I work on a few at the shop, and
like
I'm always tickled by how well they're made. I mean, it's.
I have an argument
for the money. Yeah,
the whole deal with
for the money
adventure
is
writing
amazing.
I think the whole deal with adventure writing is their attitude.
Yes.
No, I have an argument for that, Emma. And there is something that I think any adventure bike needs to be able to do. And I was fortunate that when I was at AMA Vintage Days, and I'm like, hey, is that your Himalayan? I've wanted to check one out. And he's like, go ahead. And I got to find out the thing for me it does not do
is
when you ride any adventure bike.
Yes.
Oftentimes the best riding position is
standing up.
Yes.
And when you're standing up, what are you gripping the bike with?
The tank.
Right. Carl, can you grip the tank with your knees when standing up on the Himalayan?
Not with the upper part of my knees.
No.
Yeah, right.
And here's the thing that I discovered. It was weird. It has side covers that kind of bow out.
Oh,
so when your foot is on the peg, the side cover is hitting you in the lower leg on the side, and you cannot bring your knees in and grip the tank. And I thought that was very strange because to me, the proper riding position is grip at the tank and get yourself set.
Yeah,
and I didn't understand why an adventure bike you could not ride standing up. That was the only thing to me.
Oh, you know what? The Corbin saddle basically solved that. And the reason why is because the Corbin saddle really scoops out further, like a lot further to the rear, and then it pans it out. So like with our Project Himalayan, we've got a Hyper Pro rear shock on it. We redid the springs, like the heavier front springs. And we got the Corbin saddle on there. It's even got a steering dampener on it. And off-road, it's more fun than you might think off-road. You know, hitting gravel stuff, you know, like I don't try to pretend like this is a bike that you're going to take, you know, like on heavy single track or anything like that. Like it's not meant for that, right?
Well, I think it's what, 23, 24 horsepower. It's not much.
Yeah, but
it's got a good amount of torque, but there's not much horsepower there.
How heavy is it?
It's like 415 or 20 pounds or something like that. Yeah. It's not light, but it is low. You know, but it's all torque. I mean, you've got that under square motor just kind of flopping the cylinder all over the place, and it's just like floppa, 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 floppa. I mean, you know, it's not, you know, super high output, you know, flames shooting out the back. I mean, this is, you know, you're riding a motorcycle tractor. You kind of feel it. You know
Am I correct in thinking it's kind of
it's cool. I love it.
It's kind of a batteries included bike, right?
Yes.
Like it has the bars and everything.
No, you can ride it out the box.
That is worth something.
And
in my opinion.
it's the perfect motorcycle to include a tweed riding suit
yes.
and a nice stalker hat.
Are you telling me it would work nicely for my
and
laboratory?
boots that come up to your knees, and you can smoke a pipe when you're riding it. Goes, hello.
Does Aerostitch offer tweed?
A DGR bike
for $44.99? I mean,
let's buy two.
What do you want? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I have another question for Carl because he's the guy.
It says so on his hat, darling.
I think he can answer some of these burning questions we've had about which is the best bike.
I'm not sure.
So,
I'm not
fire.
Liza,
I'm on fire.
We're going to start this again.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
These are heavy
whether
questions.
Carl can put out the burning in you, darling. I'm really not
Carl,
sure. I'm not sure whether Carl wants
I'm gonna list two bikes and you tell me which is the better between them.
This is like a Rorschach test or something?
Wait, better or most
look,
like
this guy knows. He knows everything about it.
we talking better or
His
groundbreaking?
opinion.
This is where you get us in trouble.
This is according to Carl, which
it smells like a setup, guys.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. We're gonna start with
you got to take your hat off if you get
We're
this
gonna
wrong,
start
too.
with an easy one. All right. KLR 650 versus the DR 650. Which is the better bike?
Oh, were you trying to kill me?
He's about to alienate half his listeners. I
So
don't think
dirt
that's a fair
or road
question.
or both?
KLR 650 versus DR 650.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a DR 650 for a while.
Okay.
I have spent a little bit of time on the KLRs, not so much on the first gen, but on the 2008 and after. Right. I would probably go for general use. I would probably go KLR.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, I like them both.
Wow.
You know, and they both have their place. You know, but as far as like a bike where it's just like anyone coming from a street background or anything would kind of get on, it's like, well, it's got, you know, like a fairing. You know what I mean? Like as far as a gateway bike, into adventure travel, probably more.
So
Okay.
from an
rolling towards the
adventure
tail arm.
perspective.
Okay,
that's-
so
Yeah, that's-
and I'll just give
I'll
you
buy that for sure.
Okay,
I'm into
so let's say the scenario is you're gonna go do a weekend in the desert with some friends, and you got to pick up a bike. Is it going to be a DRZ400 or a 690 Enduro?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, they're both about the same
Mm-hmm.
weight wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up both bikes. And I'd probably just say the 690.
That is the correct answer. Thank you.
But if you want to get home, which one would you take?
Yeah.
DRZ. That would be.
No comment.
Okay, let's say you're gonna do a BDR ride, say Northeast BDR, right? And you got a couple bikes to choose from. It's going to either be the F700 GS or a 107.
800? Yes.
They had a 700 GS.
Or the 107.
Yeah.
Or T7.
T7?
Yeah, T7, the Tenere 700. So
Oh, I do the
F700
T7.
GS. The
Oh, I do the
T7.
T7. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was correct.
Yes.
Okay, the last one.
I love the way you just had, and that's correct.
She's
Because
our-
you are the queen of everything.
Right.
That's-
She is our benevolent dictator.
Survey says.
Okay, last one. You are going to go do the same ride that Charlie and Ewan did from Scotland down to the tip of South Africa. All right. And you can either take a GS 1250 or a brand new Africa Twin.
Brand new Africa Twin.
That was correct as well. You did great.
However,
It's like he's got his own ADV magazine or something.
I
Yeah, they're
think
both cool bikes. But I would probably actually just like to, see what it's like to spend more time on the AT traveling.
And the thing I took from it, Carl, in every case, you chose the substantially younger bike. And it
Oh.
just shows how these bikes are being developed. In every single
Yeah, that's a good
example,
point.
it was the substantially younger platform. And you're going, wait a minute. The 1250 is actually younger than the Africa Twin. But
Is
it's right around this, but it's
Yeah,
developed
they're-
from, it's the Africa Twin was basically a brand new platform when it came out. It was like nothing
but
else.
the AT is not really new anymore. I mean, how long has
Right.
it been around?
It's
At
been
least
around.
5 years or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
something
I
like
got
that.
one more for you. And this one is a little bit harder. You are going to go do an adventure across Romania, but you're very limited on what bike you can get there. Your choice is either an old CT 110
Oh God.
or a brand new monkey bike.
We're talking actual, like real genuine or knockoff.
No, a real one.
Honda
Yeah,
factory.
a monkey bike or
See, I know what those
or
things
a
look like.
CT 110.
You can't specify if it's a real one or a knockoff.
Yeah. Yeah. See, this is a hard one.
I mean,
Good one.
for travel for someone my size, I'd probably say CT 110.
That was also correct.
sounds
I would
way-
rock the crap out of a
Yeah,
CT
hey, round
110.
of
It sounds
for
way
Carl.
more comfortable.
Rock it. I love the CT, dude. Totally.
You know what
That's
I've
how you do it.
always wanted to do is one of the Posty bike challenges.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You guys know
That's-
about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what a Posty bike is? Have you heard that? So in Australia, they use these CT 110s to deliver the mail.
Mhm.
And they have a Posty bike challenge, like a rally, where you have to buy an old retired postal bike and then do this like long, arduous rally on them. And it's like this really cool event that they have.
Yeah, I think we should do
Yeah,
something like that around here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm in. Let's do it.
Where we're going to
Yeah.
get Posty bikes, so
No,
Run what you brung.
no, just be a small bore.
let's do it.
You know, like rally, like a limit 125 or like a limit 150 or
We
something
could play
like
hide
that.
the weasel while we do that too.
Do we get to have pie at some point? Is there pie involved?
Oh my God.
Punch and pie.
Yes.
Punch
I'm
and
in.
pie.
So
yes, yes.
Punch and pie. That's how you know it's deluxe. That's a la mode.
Carl, give us a hot tip. What are some Emma? Are you watching videos right now?
I might be.
Jesus. Carl, what are some articles that are going to be coming out in your magazine that somebody might be interested in getting a subscription if they haven't?
I just subscribe, by the way.
Oh, good.
Oh, thanks very much. The support is always appreciated. Well, this year was a crazy amount of bike releases. I think that what happened is, like last year, there was a real jam on events and everything like that, right? So a lot of the models, I think, at least as far as the press junkets go, right, they were put off. So we have a bunch of really cool new bike releases coming up, including or bike reviews coming up. We had the KLX 300, right? That got redone, and then the Super Motard, kind of one of our usual cronies, Jocelyn Snow, went to that one, and I think she had a great time there. And then our web editor, Alex Marsh, just got back from the CRF 300 in the rally. And then they've got the Tiger 850 version. That one's coming up too. Africa Twin DCT.
That's right.
We have a version coming up of that. And my personal favorite, the ADV 150 scooter by Honda. Which is mad.
That was actually my next question. Well, it was Bagel's question. Bagel wants to know, why aren't there more adventure scooters? So
for reals, bring them. Yamaha just redid theirs.
Dude,
I'm going to look this thing up now. I'm not looking at videos, Liza.
Okay.
I'm looking at.
No, I saw John when we ran into the dealership. We saw an adventure scooter in there in San Jose. Wasn't that with you?
That was with me.
That was with you.
Yeah.
It looked rad.
It's a cool looking scooter.
That's right.
So which one was it?
One that's coming out.
It
was a Honda, right?
Yeah, it was a Honda, the ADVX one.
Oh, okay.
Can you stand up?
Oh, do they even have those here? I didn't know they had those large. I mean, like the large scooter.
Wicked. Well, this is the 150, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the 150. There's no X here, man. I'm talking about the 150.
Cool.
That's made for AMA vintage days.
I know, right?
Yeah, dude.
So
scooters and stuff are awesome at
I can see Bagel and his Jesus hair on this for sure.
I mean, people do like rallycross on scooters, so I'm just, why are they making them? It looks like a good idea.
Yeah, and I think Yamaha just updated their Zuma too as well.
Zuma would be fun.
Yeah, I don't really like what they did with the headlights, but the rest of it has some cool technology in it. It's nice.
The choice of pizza delivery boys in England for years, the Yamaha Zuma is the dream bike. Oh yeah,
what a workhorse!
There was 1,000 Zumas with giant pizza boxes on the back, delivering hot pizza. From the 90s
over there.
So ADV 150, it's an interesting looking thing. It looks like an Africa Twin that has been trodden on by a very large man,
sat on by a troll.
Yes,
it's awesome.
Troll. No, it's a great looking thing. Let's have a look at these tires. I'm not sure about the tires for off road.
It had some knobblies on it, didn't it, Knock?
No, I think we're looking at something else.
Oh.
It wasn't that.
Yeah. I actually did take this thing off road. I even took it across a local stream just to kind of have fun with it.
Did you stay on it?
Evading the police.
Yeah.
Evading the Bow Street runners.
Yeah, it's straight up like Duke boys, like Dukes of Hazzard around here. I'm jumping in front of lakes and banjos rolling in the background, and frustrated police guys going beating his hat. You know what I mean?
I'm just curious, when you drive like that on those roads, how do you keep the mason jars of alcohol from breaking in the trunk?
You don't. It just drains into the gas tank.
Oh.
Do you know Matt Harris by chance?
So, according to my sources, there is also a 745cc version.
Yeah, I saw that.
Called the XADV.
Yeah, that thing is crazy. We don't have that here, but the thing is crazy. We have a photo, I think, on our Instagram feed. Someone was straight up racing that thing, and they were like full on launched in the air.
Wow.
Feet, wheels totally. The legs are totally stretched on that thing, and he's rocking that thing through the air. I mean, it's crazy. But I found in general that the Europeans, especially, but really everywhere else in the world, there's much more appreciation for the diversity of two-wheeled vehicles, including scooters. and stuff. You know, I mean, you know, I'd probably say like 20 years ago, 10 to like 20 years ago. You know, I felt like there was a bias against small displacement in the riding culture. You know what I mean? It's not that like, you know, and it's not that I don't, you know, like or appreciate large displacement. I mean, I toured around North America on a Bandit 1200, you know, which was, what?
It's got Emma's heart.
Yeah. No,
oh, really?
I mean, no, Bandits are just fantastic.
Yeah, boy. I mean, because they're anything you want them to be.
Exactly.
For the most part, right? Yeah.
I'm actually riding your bike's grandpa. I ride an RF 900, which is
cool, man.
Which is basically a Bandit with a short stroke kit on it with a full fairing. I mean, but style like nothing else. But you know, that Suzuki technology is just fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic motors, man.
But yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, Europe never got away from small displacement, never got away from the love affair with small displacement. I mean, let's go back to the TDR 250. That was a legit bike. It was 250, but any person in this room would be like, oh yeah, I want to ride that thing right now. But yeah, America's had this love affair with large displacement bikes for a long time, and it was hard to sell the small displacement stuff.
I feel that's changing now. I think
for sure.
It is changing.
Sure, it's changing. 110% changing, even in the past 10 years.
Yeah. Historically, you go back 10 years, it's a completely different ballgame.
Part of it is culturally, people are aware that, you know, it's like you said, it's easier to learn on a smaller displacement bike that won't get away from you,
right?
Yeah.
And people are smart to that nowadays.
TDR 250 will kill you.
Well, yeah,
in a heartbeat, I mean, it will kill you.
There's a conflation between, I guess, like cylinder size versus, you know, horsepower. I mean,
right?
So, Carl, I have another question for you. I want to get your opinion. This is a cool or not cool? Is all you have to say.
This is a high pressure show.
You know,
that's what you give him right now.
Yeah. So
for the record, Carl, I don't actually approve of what Liza's doing to you. I feel that putting our guests under so much pressure, and I will be having quite a stiff talk with her when the show is over. Let me tell you.
It's okay. It's okay. I've been watching anime recently. Shoot him at me. Shoot him at me.
We appreciate you, Carl, even though she is putting you under pressure. So I just want you to know that, darling.
I'm just messing around, but yes, I do appreciate your thoughts on that.
Thank you very much. Very stiff talk with her.
I want to know, because this is a trend that I do appreciate. I want to see if you think cool or not cool. Inappropriate dirt bikes. These are street bikes that have knobbies on them.
Gold wings?
It could be a gold wing, it could be Harley, it could be an R1. Inappropriate dirt bikes. What do you think?
I think, do you approve?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care as long as someone gets out there and does cool stuff with it. That's not irresponsible, you know.
I'm sorry, that is the wrong answer. The wrong answer is they're cool as heck, man.
Yeah, they're totally cool, man.
I think it's so much fun. I think I'm all in. Knobbies on anything, I'm in.
Liza, did you see that guy who like toured through, I think, Turkmenistan or Uzbekistan and like Central Asia on a, I think, a Gixxer 600 with knobbies and like, you know, the world's tallest mountains or whatever.
The only thing I don't think should have knobbies is a stretched busa.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I draw the line.
What the hell is wrong with you, Liza? What the hell is wrong with putting knobbies on a stretch busa?
You could do like a tractor pull,
and you could do a hill climb with it.
You could set the neon. You could set the underneath neon to blue.
The Tron lights.
Yeah, the Tron lights to blue.
You got Tron lights on your busa, man. I mean, come on.
And then, you know, just have a big old sand paddle on the back on the stretch swing arm.
That could be awesome.
Brilliant.
Well, we saw a Ninja 250 doing a stream crossing up in Mendocino.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
Every day.
That's it right there.
Awesome, actually.
That was on the sheet iron.
That was the cheat iron. That's right.
And except, like, there was a dude on a Harley Sportster that was fully kitted out with knobbies and everything.
Sorted out.
But the dude on the Ninja 250 had stock tires.
Oh God!
And his 300-mile adventure rally, including stream crossings. Which I don't think he fared well because he couldn't get up out of the stream on the muddy bank.
I'm sure he did eventually. We just all passed him while he was having at it. But
then I remember Cindy Creech overshot. She gunned it in the creek and shot off to the side.
Dude, she was flying.
flew
I thought she was
into
fucking
a gully.
dead, bro. Like,
Yeah, she missed the coming out of the stream and hit the stream.
But
bank.
it just shows that she was on an appropriate dirt bike. He was on an inappropriate.
Well, it's like Carl said, it doesn't matter what you're on as long as you're adventuring, it counts.
Yeah, man. You know, and that guy will probably learn. You know, I mean, if you look at it from our point of view, it's like, man, I don't know if I would do that. But you know what?
We're still talking about him. It's been like
we all done weird stuff in our lives. Come on, man. You know, it ain't like we ain't done our wacky.
It's the only story we talk about from that trip.
Yeah.
I rode the Burr Trail on a GTS 250, so you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, it's really about the person. It's really about the person. You know.
All right, I have another cool or not cool.
Okay.
What do you think about quads?
Oh.
Your instincts
Man.
are correct.
Yeah. As a machine, they're cool.
Yeah,
wrong.
We will accept that very diplomatic answer. But we
have to disconnect the
quads
connection.
and quad people. Those are
I feel like there should be a butt there.
Yeah, you know, the quad community, is different all over the place. Well, for example, like I was thumping around, like the hills of the Himalayas, and there was a woman who was actually traveling around Tibet by quad. She was like a Chinese woman. She had all of her tent stuff, but she was actually traveling around by quad because out in the Himalayas, no one gave a crap what you were driving, as long as it had some kind of a plate on it. And I mean, you can plate all kinds of stuff out there, and she was having some very good experiences out there. So
I'm just curious, do you think as she's traveling that she zigzags across the road back and forth?
I'm sure she
That seems
tries
to be every
to
quad
whack as
driver
many
I've ever
oncoming
encountered.
motorcyclists as possible.
Was
I think that was
she
her
doing
intention.
donuts in the parking lot?
No, but
Well,
I mean,
here's another
again, it's the
question.
people. It's always about the people.
This isn't a cool or not cool, but again, just because we're going back to because you're the guy.
It
I
says so on his hat, darling.
I think you influence people. I'm curious, what kind of helmet do you wear?
That's a good question.
Oh, I've got to show you Neotech 2. That that is kind of plugged in, and I've got it all linked up, and it's comfortable. There are some things I liked more, to be honest, about the Neotech 1, but the 2 quieted up a little bit too, and I think that the build was a little bit better.
Because Matt he wants a quiet helmet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Delicate little ears.
Well, the other thing too about helmets is it really has to depend on the rider's head shape.
Right.
I mean, there might be some options for me that would absolutely not work for somebody else, and vice versa. So it's
right.
Also the bike fairing and the way the wind interacts with it all.
Yeah.
Showies have always been quiet helmets, but not everybody's head fits them. They always say, do you have a showy head or an RI head?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like the AGVs and the European brands, the Schuberths and stuff, those are actually quite long.
Right.
Long and narrow. And if I try to put one of those on, even though large, it might be the same measurement of circumference, but with the shape is different, I get this tremendous pressure on my temples. Because I just got a big old fat basketball head, and that's just that's just the way that goes.
Yeah.
But and then for dirt, one of my favorite helmets is actually something that's not made anymore, and I hope they bring it back. What's the HJC Alpha X dirt helmet, which was a great value for
HGC actually have always
the
made
Alpha
great
X.
helmets.
Yeah, that's what I got right now. Yeah.
Oh, is it? What a great value for an off-road helmet. I mean, it's really light, really well built. Pretty good ventilation and stuff like that. But they stopped making it like 2 or 3 years ago or something like that. I'm not sure why, but to me that was actually one of the better values in a straight up off-road helmet.
Well, and I'm just curious, since you have a lot of experience with helmets, if you can recommend a helmet to Knott, because his head is shaped like a Pez candy.
It's excuse me. It's a tilted back Pez candy head. I'm going like this.
The Shrek one.
Yeah.
Can you spit out candies too? Is that what?
I think Liza just shot something out her nose.
If you buy me dinner first.
This is a rough crowd over here.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
What kind of room did I step into here? Looking around,
Oh, we have a lot of fun.
This is all good, man.
No, and actually, no, I wanted to thank you for coming on, having me on your show, and then coming on here. I would love to have you on again, give you an open invite if you have a good topic you want to come on and discuss. Because you can
Very
see
cool.
we have a lot of fun.
Well, that'd be good because I actually had a question, but then you had to throw knock under the bus with the Pez comment.
Does it?
That usually that goes per interview.
It's downhill from there.
What you got, Jim?
Oh no!
Yeah, oh yeah, please.
Well, we were chatting about helmets, and we all like gadgets and things, and make bikes our own. And you guys do so many reviews, which is great. You're reviewing stuff all the time. And for the adventure bikers, like you're going out, what are some of maybe the must-have additions you want for your bike? I don't know, it could be the little foot you put on a kickstand or luggage. What are some of the must-haves, and what are maybe some of the cool things out there that people may want to be aware of?
Probably the first thing that I would say, if you're really going to start doing off-roading or whatever, and this is true with the T7 also, especially if you're a heavier or more aggressive rider.
You paying attention, Paul?
I'm listening. Yeah.
Is straight up get the suspension sorted first.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. You see
That is by far
100%.
the best bang for your buck. We got a Leo Vinci full exhaust on there. It sounds great, takes off a bunch of weight. All that stuff is cool, but fundamentally you need to make the bike as a platform, as usable as possible. And for sure, getting your shock and forks sorted out is number one. And then after that, I would probably say, you have to configure it for whatever type of riding you're going to do and be honest about it. You know what I mean?
Okay, here's a controversial one. Hard luggage or soft?
Ooh,
Soft.
Yeah. The trend now is definitely soft. And probably for good reason. One is, the hard luggage really makes a lot more sense on a larger bike that is going to be, used more for street and touring, right? Because you do get some safety out of it. And actually, you can use them as, all of us have probably used them as tables or chairs or something at some point in time, sitting around a campfire or something, right? You know what I mean?
For a long weekend when you forget I've done it.
Yeah, sure.
Like shit.
Yeah, but I think this kind of goes back to the developing interest in medium and lighter bikes in this country. They become less feasible, right, or practical on a smaller or on a lighter bike with less power and a smaller frame. Right. So soft luggage picked up, and what happened is soft luggage has just evolved like crazy. It's fantastic. There's so many really awesome soft luggage options out there right now for doing some kind of like adventure travel. It's just fantastic what you could do with it.
And when you hang them up, you don't feel the pain in your wallet quite the same way.
Yeah.
When it breaks your leg.
Yeah.
And Emma would tell you when lane splitting in California, you should have soft luggage, not hard.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, I got another one while we're on the topic of stuff.
Sure.
Navigation wise, we spend a lot of time in the backcountry. Like, what do you, any thoughts for what you use? Like when you're planning a trip, I know you got the BDR shirt going, which is cool. But like when you're planning a trip, is there any, I use what is it? Gaia, Gaia.
Yep.
And I use some of that. Google Maps is great, but any cool navigation things you use, like either before a trip or while you're riding?
Well, I started planning stuff in the old school way, which was a map and then going into the satellites, satellite maps, and then trying to see what the road looks like, at least kind of like locally. Out here you have out here you have a much higher density of stuff than you would out west in terms of like population.
Mm-hmm.
So the chances of straight up getting lost out here, it can happen, but it's not as likely as in say like Idaho, right, where you're following mountain roads like along rivers and stuff, and or going over passes, and then if a fork in the road takes you in the wrong direction, you're out of gas.
Or in Idaho, you might just go down a road and end up on Evel Knievel's ramp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Or
that's
on
right.
Pikes Peak, getting taken out by a marmot.
Yeah.
We've seen it all.
You got to pay for good maps, though. There's just such thing as good free maps, in my experience.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
the best map is
Butler
free.
maps.
It's the national forest, whatever the national forest map you
That's
pick up
true.
at the ranger station that you always get and you always take it with you. So, but it's kind of fun. There's so much cool stuff out there. And like Carl was saying, things are evolving so quickly.
Yeah,
So it's kind of neat to see what kind of navigational aids are out there. I mean, nothing beats the paper map from the ranger, but
Well,
yeah.
I want to start wrapping up with Carl, but this is your last chance. Anyone in the room have a question? Because this is the guy when it comes to ADV.
yeah, where do I get a
I
hat that
have a
says I'm the guy?
I got that. Oh, that's on our swag store.
Of course.
It's
So-
www.theguyhats.com. We've got them in all kinds of colors. We got them for Pez shaped heads.
Oh,
perfect.
We got 'em.
Wait.
Sold.
I have one question.
Oh my god!
When you're riding a two-stroke, what kind of sandwich do you have in your pocket?
ham and cheese.
There it is.
Yeah.
That was
If you had said
Good
that
answer.
was.
Miracle Whip, that's
I
bonus.
just threw that against the wall to see if it would stick.
No, that's
don't
that's
see-
the two-stroke man lore. That's Jim's idols, two-stroke man who's always got a sandwich in his pocket.
And a
And
He
flannel
can go
shirt.
anywhere.
Ham and cheese.
And wearing cowboy
Um,
boots.
But
That's awesome.
Carl, darling, I'm
Yes.
going to ask you a question that we ask all our guests, but I'm
Oh,
going to
good.
phrase it
Oh.
a little differently.
Put food out of your mind.
Okay.
If you money no object, desirability, rarity no object, what motorcycle would you put in your garage? You have an unlimited budget. You can choose a motorcycle that was maybe a one-off or very short production. You could choose a motorcycle that wasn't even sold anywhere but a specific market. What would you choose?
So, and Carl, I need to preface to say we have a phrase we refer to this bike, and I don't know,
And I'm trying to
You've heard
navigate us
this.
away from this phrase.
but I think when you use this, it helps. We refer
Liza
to
at the
this as the up the butt bike. It's a bike that you look at and you go, "Whew, I take it up the butt for that." Like it can be historically significant. It could be a new
Oh,
bike,
God,
but when
I'm
you
so-
call it
I'm
that,
so
like
so-
everyone's like, "Oh, okay." So, do you have an up the butt bike?
I'm so sorry, Carl.
It's okay. But I would be
Liza.
honest with you and say, if I had access to unlimited time and resources,
Yes.
I would straight up build my own.
Yes.
And what power plant would it have?
Probably a parallel twin,
Right.
anywhere from a 500 to a 600,
Right.
maybe even slightly smaller. But I'd say like a parallel twin, 500 to 600.
Right.
And rally-ish style and like dimensions. The only
20
thing that I would do is I would offer an option for 1917s.
I was going to say, would you go like 2117 with an option for 1917?
Yeah,
That's right.
you guys were talking about having the 690. That was really tall. We did a 1917 690 Enduro
Right,
R,
that was good.
and it was incredible fun. And it was still able to do off-road stuff and all that kinds of stuff, but it settled down a lot in the pavement at high speed. It really helped control those manners because you need a dampener.
And
Right.
that's the argument I hear from both Liza and Jim. Jim's more likely to admit it than Liza, but both of their Africa twins are absolutely terrifying on the freeway.
Really?
Terrifying.
No, that's not.
Well-
Liza's is
Why?
mine's just boring.
Tires.
With the knobbies.
Mine's
Due to
just
the
boring.
tires?
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
Nobbies, TKCs, or whatever on there.
But
Right, but
Well,
I mean, the
TKC
fact
shouldn't be
is,
too bad.
bikes of that size and weight would do a lot better with 19s on the front. I think those 21s aren't helping you on the.
Well, the
freeway.
weight and the wheel flop on the large front wheel. I mean, yeah, maybe, but it's not something that you can't, habituate yourself to,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't
But-
like doing over 80 on that bike. It just doesn't feel as secure because of those tires, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done like 100, sustained for long enough. It's just not fun. You
Yeah,
do
it's
100
so
on,
fun. That's
on an
the thing.
inline 4 and it's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
On that one, it's
Yeah,
not.
or on my 990 SMT, easy. Even my Versus 650, very comfortable at 100.
Liar,
Love
that
the
doesn't go
Versus
over 100 miles
650.
an hour.
I'm just saying the Africa Twin, not as comfortable. Yeah, that's all. Well, Carl, I wanted to thank you again for coming on, and I wanted to give you all the opportunities to plug all the things. Where do you want to send people to find out more about you?
Oh, well, thanks very much. I mean, you can always check out adventuremotorcycle.com.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a lot of stuff on there. And of course, we have all the social stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and, you know, all the usual places. But you know, really, I just want to say thanks in a way. Thanks to you for putting on the shows, everyone getting together. But also, as a retrospective over the past 10 years, I've been reflecting a lot recently. Sorry, you know. But
No, but that's okay. We all reach that point in
yeah,
life,
right on
Carl,
that.
where
Just buy another motorcycle.
Yeah, just really want people to be happy. You know, if you know, like if it's motorcycles, big ones, small ones,
right.
whatever. I mean, you know, I mean that's our poison of choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, go out there and be happy. You know, life is pretty damn short, no matter how old you are. So
Yeah.
let's make the most out of it.
I
sure.
I would very much like
Yeah.
to paraphrase Ian Burden and the Animals here and say, if you want to find the truth in life, don't let motorcycles pass you by.
True.
Mm.
Here, here.
There
Fantastic.
you go.
Not the only pearls that you have. Pearls of wisdom are dropping.
You better believe it.
And Carl, are you going to be attending any events this year that somebody might be able to come say hi?
Yeah, we should be up at Dirt Days up there, I believe, in New Hampshire this year.
Okay.
You know, these events are still kind of warming up, and we're trying to see if we have it in enough time for everyone to be able to go to. Also, the AMA Vintage Days has opened up too again.
Yep.
We're going. Are you going?
Yeah, we're shooting to make it. You know, but we have to
Hey.
see what
Well-
can be arranged, and then I think those are the next two coming. You know, and then you have some of the expos and stuff that happen every. Oh, we are also going to SEMA this year.
nice.
There
That'll
you
be in November. That's our second year at SEMA. We were
Where,
the
where is
first.
it this year?
It's in Las Vegas, and they've got a new hall open.
Oh,
So
That might be a road trip.
Road trip.
oh, SEMA is crazy.
Striking
It's,
distance.
Yeah, SEMA is absolutely crazy, and it's
Yeah.
it's a good time. We're the first motorcycle media publication to ever attend and support SEMA as well. So it's
Congratulations. That's
it's a
awesome.
lot of fun to be there, and you know we really do care about the industry because ultimately, especially in the ADV world, I mean the industry is people just like you and me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, and so we trying to keep our minds open and like our feelers out for all things going on out there. It's important.
Well, definitely look for us. A few of us are going to be there. At,
Cool.
Yeah, at AMA Vintage Days.
Vintage Days.
It's not locked in yet, but I'm pretty sure it's looking like there's going to be a Rev Sisters Film Festival playing there.
Oh, very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That makes sense. Cool.
they couldn't really book a lot of speakers because this year they really kind of got a late start. So I offered to fill all the time and bring in movies. And I'm working on doing some pretty special things. Can't say who or what, but there's going to be some pretty cool stuff. But do you know the theme at AMA Vintage Days this year?
No.
It's the 50th anniversary of On Any Sunday.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's right.
I wasn't
Yeah.
following that. Yeah. Wow.
And there's going to be some things, some artifacts and people there. I can't say for sure because nothing has been confirmed, but I do know for a fact that somebody has recently identified all the kids riding the bicycles in the opening scene.
Get out.
No way. That's
Mm.
cool.
They should
man.
they should have a dirt bike race. It'll be a
There's going to
bike
be
race.
some cool stuff.
That's fun.
There's going to be some cool stuff. So I'll definitely look for you there. And we're going to be
Right on.
recording a podcast with the Cleveland Moto guys while we're there. A live podcast.
Oh, is that with Scott?
No. Cleveland Moto, Phil and the gang.
Okay. I was thinking
Yes.
about a different company.
Yeah, no, this is another podcast, and these are kind of our brothers over there.
Cool.
They're crazy like us. But I will look for you there. Thank you again for coming on. You actually had all the right answers. So
No, there was one I got wrong.
The quad. We're not forgiving you on the quad.
No, it's not the
Everything quad.
quads. It was the.
You had a good story, though.
No, it's not what it was. It was the street bikes with knobbies.
Oh yeah, inappropriate dirt bikes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, perhaps I'll do better next time. It's okay.
Always yes. So just remember, go to adventuremotorcycle.com and you can find his magazine there, and you have it in print and digital versions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, Carl, thank you for being such an agreeable guest and putting up with Liza's appalling behavior. And I hope you come on the show again.
I would love to be back on. You guys are entirely awesome to talk with, and it's a really cool community.
No problem. Well, thanks for joining us.
Take care, guys.
I'll send you a link as soon as we get it done.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. So what I tell you, he's the guy, right?
And
the
it
guy.
said so on his hand.
It says on his head.
Yes.
No, when it
Wow.
comes to adventure, Carl's a really cool guy. He really researches everything.
Yeah, that publication, they cover a lot of ground. I mean, you can look at it online, but they're always reviewing stuff, going places, they're contributing, editors, whatever you call them, contributing writers. It's a pretty cool group. So yeah, check it out.
Knock is making a lot of noise tonight. What's it?
I don't know. I'm super fidgety, man. I'm hungover. That's
Do you
fine.
have ants in your pants?
Maybe.
Crabs.
Okay, very good.
We,
That's hardly fair.
we have so
Who's-
many
who-
emails.
who's it-
I'm
who's
so
this
far
for?
behind on them. But before we get to them, I wanted to check in with Bagel real quick. Bagel,
Yes.
you have a scooter for sale that you wanted to talk about?
I don't just have a scooter for sale. I have it's not just for sale, it's sold.
Oh,
Then never
It's just-
mind. No, just
But it's not just a scooter for sale, it's a story. And it's a story I'm going to call N-1. So this is about the 1964 VBB, which I bought last year off of a friend of mine, which I had been storing for this friend for 15 years.
what?
It was a bike that he bought, out of nostalgia for, back in the day. He used to ride a Vespa, and he really, had this, saw that I rode scooters, and he had this urge to buy a vintage Vespa. So he found this one on Craigslist, and he decided he wanted to buy it, but he lived in San Francisco, didn't have a place to keep it, asked if he could keep it at my place and if maybe I could work on it and get it going for him. I was like, okay, sure, I'll see what I can do. And he's like, no rush, whenever you have the time. But, as things go, I never really had the time, never really did much with it. And over the years, he just kind of lost interest and in talking, he said, why don't you just sell it and just, give me back what I paid for it and you can keep the rest. I'm like, well, how about I just buy it for you or buy it from you? And then I was like, and he said, sure. So I bought it from him because it's the same model bike that I rode in Pakistan, which I really had enjoyed riding.
Okay.
So I thought it would be fun to have one myself and tool around on that once in a while. So I just ended up buying it, and I already had it, in my garage anyway. So I figured, what the hell. So fast forward to Thursday night, I was on Facebook and saw an update that was from a woman with the last name of the guy who sold the bike to my friend 16 years ago. and that intrigued me. And I said, okay, I got to look at this post. And I saw a picture of a young woman standing next to a white and red Vespa VBB. And the post read, I'm going way far out on a limb here. This is my first Vespa. An All-State I rode in the King's Classic in 1997. My hubby, then boyfriend, bought it from me, and he sold it in the South Bay area, probably San Jose. After 22 years together, I still wish I'd gotten first dibs on buying it back from him, but so it goes. I'm super interested in knowing if it still exists, hopefully being enjoyed and ridden. And hey, if it's a junked out mess, I'll be happy to buy it from you. Well, I saw that post and instantly I knew it was the same bike.
Oh, that's cool.
So I wrote back to her and I said, basically told her that you're in luck. I am the current owner of your old bike. And basically it turned out that she had met a member of the Black Sheep Scooter Club way back in the day when she was riding her sister's Vespa or Honda Elite around. And the Black Sheep Scooter Club member said, "You've got to get a vintage bike," and was telling her all about them. And she was really interested, and she wanted to get into the vintage scene. And she ended up buying this VBB from Barry at San Francisco Scooter Center, which needed a good bit of work, but she fixed it up and Barry helped her get it running. And she rode it in the King's Classic Rally in 1997, where she said she popped a wheelie, which got cheers from the crowd at her first scooter rally. And the years after that, she rode the bike everywhere, didn't even have a car, and just kind of fell in love with this bike. But until one day, she saw this guy who was wrenching on this sky blue Ford Falcon in his parents' house. And she got really interested. So one day she decided to pop over there on the Vespa, and she said, "Hey, you want to trade?" And he wasn't looking for a Vespa, and she wasn't really looking for a Falcon, but they traded anyway. And then they started dating. And after a little while, she decided, well, I'm just going to give him the car back. And so she gave him the car back. And she asked about the Vespa. And he said, "Oh, well, the Vespa broke down and I sold it." So, but they were already pretty, deep into things with one another. So she just let it go, and they kept, they stayed together. And the story she told me was that after, they eventually got married, had 2 kids, and she continued riding vintage scooters, but then she was diagnosed with MS. And it got bad enough where she wasn't even able to walk. So she ended up selling her Vespa Sprint that she had at the time, and promised not to ride because she was having so many health problems. But now 8 years later, she's now on chemo, which has done wonders to alleviate her symptoms of MS. And she says she feels like a champ, and she is back in the game hardcore now.
Hell yeah.
So that prompted her to post on Facebook, and just out of curiosity to see if her old bike is out there. And when I saw that post, I knew, okay, I got to sell the bike. It's got to go back to her.
Hell yeah.
So I wrote to her and we chatted, and I'm going to, next time I get a chance to get down to the Bay Area, I'm going to deliver the bike to her, and she will have her old baby back once again.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's a great
That's
Full
quite the
circle,
story.
bro. That's what it's all
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
Good story.
It was such a heartwarming story. I just had to share it.
Well, we have time for just a couple emails, and these are catching up on some stuff. Emma, you have a nice email.
I do
catching
indeed.
up on some advice we gave out.
Yes.
And how it fared.
So I have an email here from Kyle Heeson. And Kyle, hello again, Misfits.
Hello.
Just wanted to update you on the progress with my overheating FZ6.
Right.
After hearing your advice last week, I flushed the cooling system again, took the whole thing apart, checked the water pump and all the hoses, and as far as I could reach into the engine, checked for blockages. Then I soaked the radiator with vinegar and distilled water, put it all back together and took it for a test ride. Engine temperature still slowly crept up beyond the normal operating range, but it did take quite a bit longer to get up that high, leading me to believe that I maybe cleaned some of my radiator out with a vinegar bath, but it was still clogged. And that's a very sensible conclusion to come to, Kyle. So, I was on the verge of pulling the pin on a 600 buckle replacement, which would have done it, when the dealership suggested a radiator shop about an hour away, saying if they can't fix it, no one can. They flushed it, did a chemical soak overnight, pressure tested it for leaks afterwards. I put it all back together and rode it for over an hour with rock steady temperatures, 75 degrees. Ta-da!
Nice.
Huge shop shout out to Chris at Ride Radiator in Chatham, Ontario for cleaning up my rad. Another shout out to Bob's Motorsports, also in Chatham, for the recommendation and not just taking my money for new parts. Thanks again for your advice last week and for a great podcast. All the best, Kyle.
All right.
Good
I'm
job,
so
man.
glad that worked out.
Hell of a value there, getting it flushed out instead of getting a new one.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, the thing is, we all put antifreeze and coolant mix in our bikes, And the trouble is, you know, our bikes get hot. In a lot of cases, hotter than cars because there's a lot more going on in a compact space. We talked about this earlier. And, you know, as the coolant gets boiled off, as it basically reduces down into some kind of toxic sauce, into this soup, the solids stay behind and they mix with bits of aluminium and bits of O-ring and bits of steel and kind of plug shit like radiators. It's a gruesome thing. So there you go. But yeah, back flushing. That's probably what they did. Did a back flush and then a chemical soak overnight and got all that crud out of there.
You can normally get it all out though. Like,
yeah, generally. I mean, you need a proper radiator shop to do it because they do this chemical bath overnight. And if you were to spend an hour in the bath, you'd probably come out as merely bones.
You can also just stick it in the dishwasher.
You could stick it in the dishwasher if you want to annoy your wife, girlfriend, mother, husband, whatever. You know, you might get the dog to pee in it. If your dog's got very acidic pee, that might help.
Cat.
In a pinch. Matt, you have one here. Make sure you get close to the mic and read. Here we go.
title, Help, Which Bike to Get, from
Okay.
Dylan Donley. Hello, Misfits. A couple years ago, you all...
Hello, Dylan.
Hello, Dylan. A couple of years ago, you all helped me with a chain issue on my V-Strom 1000.
Mhm.
Thanks again. Now I'm in need of your sage advice once again.
Ooh.
I'm selling my V-Strom and looking to get a dual sport.
Mhm.
I've done my research and know all the specs for every dual sport out there.
That's dual sport.
A dual sport.
Yes, thank you.
I'm 6'1", about 210 pounds.
Oh, lucky lad.
Yeah, very lucky man. I will plan on doing 60% on road, 40% off road, fire trails, etc. Occasional overnight. So not trails by the sound of it. I do have off road experience as well. I'm mainly looking at the WR250R, DRZ400, CRF 250, and 300L. I like these options as they are all reliable, lighter weight, and have favorable maintenance intervals. Second tier options are bikes such as the DRZ650, XR650L, but not the KLR650. I'm open to others if you can convince me. My budget is about $4,500. What bike should I get?
So-
DRZ400.
That I was going to say,
Yeah.
this is for you to answer.
DR650.
So I honestly, obviously I'm biased. I mean, WR250 is a trail sort of dirt bike.
Right,
almost,
but I think with all of his first choices, he's going to be looking for power. Whatever he buys, and as admirable as a WR250 is, he's going to be looking for power.
And the DRZ kind of has it. I mean, of these.
Yeah, I
four
mean, they're
bikes,
grunty.
they really do kind of hit you hard when you.
You know, I think the best way to describe a DRZ, it's lusty. It's got a lusty. It's a trier. You know, it hasn't necessarily got a massive amount of power, but what it does have, you can feel it.
Yeah, I think that if you're doing fire roads and you're just trying to get out there and have a good time and not worry about reliability, I mean, these are all reliable bikes, but the 400 is better on the road.
I was vegging. Was there a KLX in the first group?
I was about to say, let's throw that KLX 300 in there.
Yeah.
KLX 300.
KLX.
It's a good bike.
Yeah.
I think the problem is depending on how far he's going to drive to the trail. So actually, you know, I
he might have an El Camino.
he might have an El Camino. If you do, then absolutely. But I think actually I like the DR650 for this too.
Yeah.
Because then you can stretch your legs. That was
Which one did Carl say is better? The KLR.
No, he didn't like the KLR.
Damn it.
No.
Okay.
Well, you know, the Yamaha, I think, is one to consider too. I mean, the WR250, if they were available and the price was right, I would have picked that up before the Honda 250.
Yeah, his budget.
Yeah.
His budget's
I mean, the
$4,000.
budget's the
Yeah.
big one. I mean,
I mean, you could get a DRZ for quite less than 4,500.
well, DRZ isn't the perfect bike either, though. I mean, DRZs
Depends
do
where you
have
are.
their
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah,
I mean,
depends
So
you're at.
here's the real answer. Right now, there's not as many bikes available. You don't get to
Seller's
choose
market.
anymore.
Yep.
You have your price point and you have your needs that need
That's
to be
exactly
met.
right.
And you're going to have a few bikes that meet that. That's it.
And
But they're all going to be good options because you're going to have fun on them.
yes,
Yes.
Be it, as I was saying, like a CSC, or
Right.
so, just get something and have fun on it. All the little details don't matter that
right.
much.
Just remember that having been used to a 1000cc bike, the littler bikes, as fun as they are, you will be looking for power. Just bear that in mind. That may not be a deal breaker
See,
for
I-
what riding you are, but sooner or later you'll find yourself in a position and you'll think to yourself, oh, fuck, I wish I'd have got a bigger bike.
Yeah, find something with good torque numbers if you're doing it.
Well, I think you
that
also
way.
ought to save a little money for suspension work because at 210 he's going to need to.
And then maybe a gas tank, honestly, for the DRZ. That you don't go very
especially for
far
the
south.
DRZ.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, and I got one left here, and Paul, I need you to pay attention to this one
Okay.
because,
Focused.
well, and John,
Okay.
the two
old guys here?
married men in the room.
Oh, I say.
This is important.
Uh-oh.
And this is from our friend Paul.
Hi, Paul.
And he says, so I just need you to double check the math here. So you know the formula. Paul, do you know the formula for what's the right amount of bikes to have?
N+1.
No.
Well, there's a change. It's been N+1 is the formula.
Always one more than you have.
Yeah, it's now +1. So Paul says there's been a giant uproar in the mathematical community surrounding the issue. For years, it has been assumed that N+1, whereas N represents now, equals the perfect amount of motorcycles. Then a heretic said that D-1, D being divorce, is the perfect amount. So it is now understood to be N+1 is less than D-1 equals motorcycle equilibrium. So there's now room for non-complete bikes and a happy marriage. You're welcome. Does anyone understand that?
I failed out.
Buy another bike.
I think
I understand some of those words.
the young man who lives in the laboratory probably does.
That math is too advanced for.
It is a possible.
regular science.
It's a possible solution for the equation. Another possibility is N+1 plus D.
Yeah.
N+,
Yeah. N+1
Exactly.
equals D.
Exactly. That's it.
Well, and you know, it's a common thing here that we use dirt bikes as a form of currency. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know if I want to buy that new couch. That's the same cost as a dirt bike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how many
Yeah,
dirt bikes
tattoos are like that.
are equal to the cost of a divorce?
How many dirt bikes are?
Ooh.
Depends on how wealthy you are and how much you're.
Yeah,
gonna
I think that factors
Depends
in
on
too.
how
horrible that.
I think that
divorce is.
factors in. How many dirt bikes? Is it better? Like, you know, is it cheaper to buy 2 dirt bikes than
This
it
is,
is to?
Well, the other thing is you wanted is it ask forgiveness or permission? So I tend to lead on the ask forgiveness side of things, but that could
Sure.
equal divorce too. So
Yeah.
You know what? And here's something that people don't really bring into play as much as they should. If you have a bunch of bikes in your garage, John, how many bikes do you have in your garage?
4 right now.
Is your wife maybe saying maybe you shouldn't be bringing home any more bikes?
Absolutely.
What if you said, hey, this is Liza's bike. I'm just storing it for her.
Nice.
That might work.
Right.
That
And
might work.
I can store a bike for you. So
Oh,
there needs to be a buddy
we could
system.
swap bikes. Yeah.
A buddy
You
system
got,
where you're
that's
storing your friend's bike.
Yeah.
Or if you have
you're just,
children,
you're zeroing out the equation at that
just
point. with your
assign
buddy,
them
right?
to your children.
There you go.
The underground garage.
Works for me.
Yes.
Sounds like D squared.
And you know, this kind of dovetails into this. Quickly, can I tell you about a couple of bikes I'm absolutely crushing on hard right now?
Oh, certainly.
Of
Like, are you
course.
motosexual for them?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Well,
So,
Oh my.
they're both on eBay, and they're
Oh.
both original paint mid 70s Sportsters.
Ooh.
Oh,
AMF.
God. Oh, God, they're handsome.
Is that your up the butt bike?
Not quite. I mean, I have a variety, but
This is a sports.
I think it's a perfect example of how wrong the design of Sportsters have come.
Mhm.
Because when you actually see one, there's a 74 but it's an original paint bike. I mean, it's absolutely as
What
I
color
like
is it?
them. It's blue,
Blue. Okay.
and it's got the AMF stripes on the tank.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, those things are hot.
God, it's the most amazing
hot.
looking thing. And the 75 they're just really, really handsome bikes.
What do they want for it?
Well, not massive money. I mean, both bike you could probably get for under 6, but the trouble is
Interesting.
they're both on the East
So,
Coast.
Emma,
Yeah.
what's the formula for you? How many bikes can you have?
I can have as many as one. I've got a bike shop.
It's the
There it
infinity
is.
symbol.
Right.
You know how to.
Yeah.
You know, at the moment, and yes, some belong to clients, but at the moment, Mototown is full. My garage is full. My friend's garage is full. It's just like, it's madness. It really is. It's absolute madness.
See, there's another exponential thing too. I was thinking if I could get my wife a bike, I probably could get myself another one. So then it sort of creates. I can't do the math on that, but
Paul, I need you to figure out these equations for us. It's becoming more complicated. But while you're doing that, I want to do a big thanks to all of our Patreon subscribers, including Paul right here is one of them.
Hey, all right.
Thank you very much, Paul. I get to thank you for being a subscriber.
And if I could add that Paul not only is a Patreon subscriber, he bought me a very delicious lunch today. And anybody who buys me food or liquor immediately gets elevated to VIP status in my book.
He bought me a lunch, and I gave his son a sticker, so I think we're even.
It's even.
Oh, you get free lap dances.
Sticker win
from
immediately
Emma.
on the bike, like 2 seconds
or,
later,
or from Knock,
or for me, or both of us, if that's your thing.
Oh, it's a small price to pay.
And if I could remind everyone, I am getting a new batch of Emma's Army stickers.
Oh, right.
Give It the Beans faces made up finally. Also some Mototown stickers.
I want a Mototown t-shirt. That's what I want.
And yeah, the t-shirts are a little while off yet. But as soon as the stickers come in, I will announce it. And as always,
fantastic.
If you send a stamped addressed envelope to, you know the address, I will send stickers back.
Recyclemotorcyclegarage@gmail.com. Oh no, the address. Email address is recyclemotorcyclegarage@gmail.com, or you can send a SAISY to 342 Washington Street, Santa Cruz, California, 95060. And she'll send them out. You know what I'm waiting for, Emma? You haven't said what color the tassels will be on the Mototown pasties.
Ooh, that's well, my colors are blue.
Metallic, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think metallic.
Yeah, that's what I'm holding.
But for the exotic dancers in the audience, I will be offering Mototown pasties, and there will be extra points for any exotic dancer can do clockwise rotation on the left and counterclockwise.
It's all in the shoulder.
Wait a minute. Is it reversed if you're in the southern hemisphere?
It does. It reverses for those in the southern hemisphere.
It actually goes on the butt cheeks.
Right.
On the butt cheeks.
Australian listeners in the Antipodes.
So Emma,
good day, chums.
Does that work with men with man boobs too?
No.
I will actually be offering quite large sums of money to men with man boobs who promise never to wear pasties. So, there is money on the table for that.
Well, and Matt and Paul, thanks for coming down and spending the day with us. I know that I don't know if you knew what to expect because you hear the podcast and we talk about stuff.
Well, the last time he was here, he was a child. He was a mere child.
I know.
Wow.
So I wanted to ask, what were some of the highlights for you today?
I just like shooting the shit and talking to people and just, hearing whatever weird opinions or input or, contrarian stance people may have.
I enjoyed meeting all the misfits here in sunny Santa Cruz, California.
Seeing the dog was crazy.
Electric Terry and Charger.
Terry and his dog.
Yeah.
He almost plowed me over when he came in.
Terry and his electric.
He needs like a steam horn.
Yeah, that was a close call.
Yeah, it says Terry and his electric dog barge. Is that
if you ever ride with Terry lives on the edge in that dog, man.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, I hope you guys come down again, but also open invite to anyone else. It is summertime.
Yes,
that means people are traveling.
Yes, sir.
And I believe they did clean up all the shit on Highway 17. So you can now come to Santa Cruz.
And I believe I'm hosting a listener at Mototown next Thursday.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice.
Yes.
Do it, lady.
Do you want to give that address for anyone traveling on down the Pacific Coast? If they're not going to be here on a Sunday.
If you are traveling down Highway 1 and you are during the week and you would like to visit Miss Emma at Mototown, I am at 3016 Del Monte Boulevard, Marina, California, 93933.
Okay, I want you to give that one more time. And I'm going to say, if you want, ask Miss Emma, a Miss Emma sticker, send your SAISY to.
Oh, no,
What?
you can send it, send your SAISY to P.O. Box 200, Marina, California, 93933. P.O.
There you
Box
go.
200. and you can mark it Moto Town because that's where I get all my mail. I don't actually have a mailbox at Moto Town,
But you have
yeah.
a bathroom.
but I have my own bathroom,
There you go.
which is out of order again because I've
Oh, no.
Has it been
Did Liza go by?
no, I've
Did you have the
been
Vindaloo, darling?
I've been eating Indian
Vindaloo.
food again, and I put the bathroom out of commission. I'm sorry.
Wah, wah.
Well, I think that is a wrap to another great Sunday. We had all sorts of
Long
characters
haulers.
you guys got to meet out in the
That's
garage
great.
today.
Got to meet the Pez head here.
I was looking at him like, how do I? It's either Pez or a baby carrot. I couldn't.
It works with the Brodo GP shirt.
It totally does.
It is amazing, isn't it? Just
Head of a lozenge.
Oh, before I forget, my
Yeah.
donation, I brought 2 8mm sockets and an extension because I was trying to find these
Oh.
today and there were
Oh,
none. So
fantastic.
a couple of 8mm.
Thank you very much.
Once there were none, and now there are plenty. Thanks.
All
Phil.
right. So
And
Matt
a plenty.
and Paul, we're about to do the thing where we're going to say our names. We're going to go around the room. So you be ready. Bagel, we're going to end with you. So on
Bagel.
that note, we're ready to get out of here. Thanks again. This is Liza.
This is Knock.
Matt.
Paul.
Emma, darling.
Naked Jim, son.
Stumpy John, son.
Bagel.
And we're out of here.
Cool.
You are a wretched human. All right. Thanks, Bagel.
All right. Thank you.
I didn't
All right.
Nice
See ya.
meeting you, Bagel.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, Bagel.
See ya.